I'm tired of being always like being pictured as I'm like the bad person. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'ma just say it. Like, and that's when I spoke up and I basically said that he.
What is up, everyone? I'm your host, Alanized, and this is Noche de Pendejadas, your favorite talk show turned podcast, en donde yo traigo a tus influencers favoritos para platicar y posiblemente sacarles sus trapitos al sol. Please help me welcome my guest tonight, Karlita! Hello!
Hey, amiga!
¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
I'm so excited to have you here. You've been in LA ya por muchos días. Cuéntanos un poquito lo que has hecho en estos días que has estado aquí en Los Ángeles, amiga.
Get drunk.
I have been seeing your story. Has estado de antro cada pinche día, ¿verdad? How are you doing today? Because we're filming this very early, you guys. Yo sé que esto es noche de pendejadas, pero la Karlita noche andaba empedándose. How are you here today, bitch?
Actually, I kept it PG-13. I was
Okay.
I'm not gonna drink. Like, let me keep it classy. Like, have a couple drinks y ya.
You guys, literally, I was telling you antes de que empezamos a grabar, esta mañana estaba un poquito nervioso, güey. I literally was like, ¿qué tal que me cancele? I'm over here getting glam, bitch. I'm over here like, I hope she replies. Le mandó un texto como 2 hours before we had like planned to film.
Yeah.
And I was like, see you in a bit. Por si me cancelaba, pues esa es la oportunidad que me cancelaba. Pero bueno que estás aquí, amiga. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited. This has actually been a long time in the making. Yo me acuerdo that I had actually hit you up, que el año pasado?
Yeah, I had just moved out to my apartment when you reached out to me, and I'm like, ooh, you followed me because I've been following you for like the longest. I was like, damn, okay.
You're like, se me va a hacer. You guys, literally desde el año pasado y me tocó esperar, but I'm so excited que me tocó esperar because hoy tenemos mucho. ¿Ah?
I think you thought I lived in California,
I
right?
literally did.
Yeah.
Yo pensaba que vivía aquí en California. Where do you live?
Minnesota.
Okay, I think you're the first person from Minnesota.
Really?
I think.
Yeah.
Es la primera de Minnesota, you guys. Hoy estamos estrenando estado. Antes de que empecemos con el chisme, you guys, yo le voy a pasar el micrófono a ella para que ella nos diga un poquito más de quién es y qué hace.
I'm Karlita. I'm 26 years old, and I'm from Minnesota. I know, like, so random. Like, people are like, what's in Minnesota? I'm like,
what is in Minnesota?
I mean, we have the biggest mall in the U.S., and it's cold, and it snows.
You're like, and it's boring.
I know, and it's boring. Yeah.
You're like, that's why I've been in Miami and now in LA for the past 2 weeks. Let's talk about that. ¿Has estado, amiga, disfrutando todo lo que da? La semana pasada estabas en Miami.
Yeah.
Hoy estás en Los Ángeles. ¿A dónde te vas próximamente?
Maybe Vegas.
Anda de parranda, anda de tour la amiga.
¿Quieres ir conmigo?
Me voy a Arizona mañana en la mañana. So después de esto, I literally have to go to the mall because I was telling Karlita that I had ordered some clothes para pues el viaje. Y no van a creer, you guys, que me llega mañana el día que me voy.
Dude, that happened to me when I went to Miami. I ordered my whole outfits, shoes, bags, y todo, and it didn't get here to the
Did
day
you end
that
up
I
coming
left.
out with cute outfits though?
Well, I mean, I had to find in my closet. I'm like, oh, I had to like change up my
Does
whole
that
outfit.
happen to you when you go out like on a trip or something that you hate reusing clothes you've already used?
Yes, dude.
A ver, bitch, ya todo el pinche mundo me vio con esta pinche ropa.
I feel like once I wear a shirt, I feel like I can't wear it no more.
Same. See you guys. Esta estoy estrenando hoy. I literally asked
never see it
Karlita.
again.
I've never seen it. No, you probably will on the podcast. Only on the podcast.
Yeah.
But it's because like to me, yo tengo como una cosa, especially when I go on trips or like if I go to like an event or si voy a un concierto, me gusta estrenar. Something about like wearing new clothes makes me feel fresh, makes me feel good, makes me feel como nueva.
Yeah, like
It literally does. When I wear my same fachas, I was like, ay no, qué aburrido.
I feel like I need to get shoes, the top, the pants, the bag, the jewelry, todo.
Cualquier vez que salgo, yo quiero andar estrenando, you guys, and Daddy's like, babe, tienes tanta puta ropa, tanto putos zapatos, ¿para qué andas comprando en lo que no necesitas comprar? Pero ahí estoy, ¿verdad? Ya vamos a empezar, you guys, con lo bueno, o sea, el chisme. Voy a empezar con la pregunta del millón. I'm going to start with the question que le pregunto a todos para conocerte un poquito más. ¿Cómo fue Karlita en su infancia? How were you growing up?
I was a good girl.
Were you?
No, I mean, like, when I was a kid, I think I had a really, really good childhood. Like, really, it was good. I think nothing bad. I grew up with, like, I was the oldest.
Okay.
So I have sisters. I have 2. So I was like always the oldest, taking care of them. So it was like a really good childhood. Like,
Did you feel like you had to grow up fast? Porque he escuchado mucho que pues older siblings tienen que tomar casi the role of the parent. Porque pues, especially I feel like in Hispanic homes, you know, the parents always working, always doing this. Y pues el hijo mayor tiene que cocinar a sus hermanitos, tiene que cuidarlos. Did you feel that role with yourself?
it was like that because both my parents worked like overnight. So sometimes I would need to like, I mean, it was mostly overnight. So it's like we were sleeping during the whole night. So it wasn't like crazy where like I had to take, and by the time we woke up, like they were already here. But I think as I got older, yeah, I feel like in a way, it seems like you get that pressure to like be kind of like another parent because of our families that they have to work, and like you kind of have to step up, and like you couldn't really like do certain things because like, oh, you have to take care of your siblings, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Like it almost feels like you have like a double standard, like trying to figure out what the fuck you want to do with your life, as well as like trying to make sure your siblings are okay.
Yeah, and also you want to like almost seem like a role model to them because you want them to look up to you and be like, okay, well, my sister's doing this and this and that, so you want them to be kind of like, oh, I want them to look at me like a role model.
Like someone that they want to look up to. Was that hard for you? Obviously, you know, growing up, trying to vivir tu vida a la manera que tú quieres vivirla, and then still thinking like, oh shit, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything by the books to make sure my siblings like have someone to look up to?
Yeah, it was like that at first because I was born in Mexico, so I have DACA. When I first came here, like it was like a new life to me. Like I didn't know English. Like I started school right away, so I didn't know English. And you know what's so funny is that when I first got here, obviously I didn't know English, and I started school and everything. And I don't know if you know this term, but you know it's like in Hispanic, like when they call you like mojara.
Oh, like mojado vibe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had like a girl call me that. Dude, I was like crying. I was at school.
How old were you when te estaba
I was like
esto?
6. Yeah, dude, and I still remember that day, like when I had just recently, you know, like I had just started school, and like this was all new to me. Like I didn't know, like nobody, you know. So it's like I remember the girl called me, and I was like crying, wanting to go home. And then like obviously the good thing the teacher knew a little bit of Spanish, so I was able to kind of like communicate
and
a
tell
little
what
bit.
Was going on.
Yeah. So I remember obviously I couldn't go home because my parents were at work. So my mom had started work, my dad had started a job too. So they couldn't pick me up, like they couldn't go and pick me up from school, so I kind of had to wait. And so when I got home from school, I was like, ma, ya no quiero ir a la escuela. Like, you know,
you're like, regresen a Mexico.
I know, I was from Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, she's like, oh, like, no, just ignore them, you know, like, just ignore them, like, they don't know what they're saying, like, just, you know.
Were you the only one of your siblings que nació en Mexico?
Yeah, both my sisters were born here.
How was that growing up? Y te lo platico porque yo también, well, somos 4, somos yo, mi hermana, and 2 other siblings.
Yeah.
And 2 of my siblings son nacidos aquí. Yo y mi hermano nacimos en México.
Yeah.
And to me, that always was, not that it like bugged me, but I want to say it did fucking bug me.
You know?
I was like, ¿y ustedes por qué?
I know.
I always felt that way, especially because like growing up was mis hermanos que sí tenían papeles iban para México, like de vacaciones, y pues uno se quedaba en casa. Right? Yeah. Like, did that bug you que tú eras la única that didn't have papers growing up in your family?
I think it was. It would kind of bother me a little bit because it's like I would see my friends at school, like they would just like be like, oh, I'm gonna go here, or them getting like at 16 you get your permit and you start driving, and like I couldn't do that, you know. And they would even ask me, they're like, well, how come you don't do it and stuff. And it's like, for like some of my friends were understanding, like, oh, well, I don't have papers, you know. And like for some of them, they're like, well, why don't you just get them? I'm like,
you're like, bitch, if it was that easy, ya los tuviera hasta doble. Nos platicas un poquito más de que pues a los 5 años te viniste de México.
Yeah.
Do you remember a little bit of that experience cuando te contaron tus papás que te ibas a venir para acá? Or was that just kind of like a blur, you kind of just ended up here?
Honestly, yeah, I do remember. I have like flashbacks. And it's crazy because, you know, you're so young. So it's like to still have flashbacks of that, like, it's crazy to me. I just remember like walking a lot in like a desert.
Oh, you crossed like through the desert.
I think, I just remember that. Pero así como like really to remember, I just kind of remember walking and like having to como like esconderte and stuff like that. That's like little flashbacks that I remember from that.
So llegas aquí a los Estados Unidos, obviamente a los 5 años. Yeah. How was it for you to adaptarte pues a tu nueva vida? Hablamos de que pues en México, you know, you spoke the language, you were very young, pero llegas aquí, un nuevo lenguaje, un nuevo idioma. How was it like for you to adjust to your new life here?
I think it was a little bit hard at first, but I think since I was still pretty young, I think I adapted like pretty quick. I just went to school, and like it was kind of, I would get embarrassed sometimes because I feel como like you could hear my accent.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I would mispronounce the words, and then I would look como like bother me that people would like be like, oh well, that's not how you say it. Like, why are you saying like that? Like, why you speak like that? And then sometimes like it would like hurt my feelings because I'm like, damn, like am I like, you know, it would like bother me because I'm like, damn, like I don't know English, and like they don't understand that I'm not like from here, you know. So it's like, it was just like, sometimes I would cry because I'm like, damn, why wasn't I just born here? You know
what's so crazy? Yeah. I was actually talking to Karlita Noche, amigas, because I feel like we have a similar story. Obviamente, we've talked about DACA. We've talked about growing up in the United States and documented aquí en el podcast. Yeah. Pero most of the guests that I've had, you know, se vinieron súper, súper chamaquitos. We're talking about like 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, en donde ellos crecieron en los Estados Unidos casi como un americano. I'm talking about like you grow up, you get to an age where you kind of learn the language as you're growing up. Pero nosotros nos tocó que de que llegas y rápidamente te meten a la escuela, no sabes ni más, lo tienes que aprender while everyone in your class already knows English. You know what I mean? I remember back in the day, yo me acuerdo que one of the things in first grade that I had a lot of like hard time with was creating a sentence. Me acuerdo que me decían, vamos a hacer una oración. La maestra hablaba español, pero no se sabía cómo explicar. Kind of like yours, maybe. To where it's like, vamos a hacer algo, me explicaba poquito, pero como le salía mucho el español. Like very like, okay, I can understand you, but I have to kind of get context clues. Y me acuerdo que she would be like, vamos a hacer una oración. Y yo, ¿qué chingados es una puta oración? What is a sentence? Y me acuerdo que me decían, you just put words together to like make something, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's little things like that as when you're a child, like that seems so like impossible to do, but now that you're obviously, you know the language, ya sabes, obviamente sabes que es una puta sentence, but there were little things that I would struggle with. What was like one of those things that you felt like you struggled with the most?
I think it was just like, the overall, like just like there was like certain words that like you would think that you would know by then, and I was kind of starting like from like the beginning, like literally like not knowing, like literally from like one day speaking just Spanish to like the next day just like switching and having to learn English. I think it was just like more like the talking and like the words, and like, you know, it was just like too, I feel like it was like too advanced for me, and like I was just like, wait, like this is like, it was just more like a more confused thing because I'm like, I'm young, like, and this is a life that I've never like been to, and then out of nowhere like one day just like completely switched on me.
Did you guys arrive to Minnesota cuando llegaron?
Yeah.
How was that? Because I feel like Minnesota is like, vienen de Mexico obviamente, right? I feel like you would think like a Texas, you would think like a California, but I want to know how hard was it growing up in Minnesota, because I feel like no hay muchos Latinos out there, or is there?
Yeah, we have a big like
Latino
community.
following?
Yeah, we have a Latino like community over there. It's pretty big. But like, I don't know, like my parents, that's why I always get asked a lot. They're like, why did they pick Minnesota? Like out of everywhere, you know, like Minnesota. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
llegas a Minnesota, you start growing up, and I feel like when we arrive in the States, it's almost very scary, you know what I mean? Tienes como un miedo. You hear a lot about la migra, you hear a lot about like, oh, tengan cuidado, tienen que hacer esto, esto, otro, porque los van a deportar. Was that ever a fear for you growing up? You know, obviously as children, we kind of like don't care, but when we're embeddled this trauma, or like we hear all this shit around, especially from our parents, como que causa trauma or susto. Was that ever a thing for you?
It was, because I remember like sometimes I would watch the news and they would like talk about that, like my migra and all that stuff, and like, you know, like it was just kind of like a scary thing. And like at school también, like as I got older, people would start bringing it out. They're like, oh, like I'm gonna call, like, you know, like kind of like not bullying, but they would be like making jokes. They're like, oh, I'm gonna call a maid on you, and like this and that, you know. So it was kind of like traumatized from like, oh shit, like I have to be careful porque si no me puede pasar esto, you know, like just having that in the back of your head.
Did that cause a lot of trauma like in you?
I mean, at first it did. When I was younger, it did, because I was like, damn, like it is true, you know, like anything could happen. Like, but I think as I got older, I was like, okay, like at this point, like I know, like I kind of just stopped letting it get to me, because I'm like, they're just like want to like hurt my feelings, and I'm like, I'm not gonna let them. So it's like, yeah, it did when I was younger, but I feel like as I got older, como que ya.
Como que te valió. You're like, se te resbaló. Se te
Yeah.
empezaba a resbalar because you're like, bitch, I've heard this over and over. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Nos platicas un poquito que en la escuela se burlaban de ti, and especially in high school, you know, when you started seeing your friends getting their licenses, when you started seeing them working, ya es cuando más como te afecta más, I feel. Because I feel like when we're children, el no tener papeles, yeah, you get made fun of, but you don't really see how much that can affect your actual livelihood until you get of
older.
age to work and you start seeing how the world actually revolves. Did you ever feel like less of a human because of your legal status?
I think I did, because I would like when I started high school, like everybody's getting their driver's license, their permit, their IDs, and I didn't have that. So it's like I would see all my friends like, oh, I'm gonna get my car, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get my driver's license, I'm gonna get my permit, I'm gonna go and travel here, and then they're like, oh, let's plan, let's go here, and I'm like, well, I can't go. So it felt like low-key, like I feel like shit, you know, because I'm like, damn, I can't even do this. Like, I can't do everything else that my friends are doing because of my status.
Did you ever feel like embarrassed to like tell your status?
Yeah.
Yo también. How did that feel?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. When it's like, obviously now that I think about it, I'm like, why did I do that? But it's like, yeah, I did feel embarrassed. Sometimes like there's a time where I did tell, maybe when I was in middle school, I did tell people that I was born here.
Yo también. Te lo cuento because my whole life, like I want to say up till maybe last year was the first time I ever said on socials que no tenía papeles. If anything, y'all can probably go through like my old videos from almost 10 years ago and I probably said I was born here in one of them. But it's crazy because como que te da miedo.
Yeah. And what's it called? Yeah, I did lie. Like I was like, damn, like, yeah, I was born here. Like I was born in Minnesota. Like I'm born here and stuff. And then I think I kept it like that until like I would tell here and then like close friends, but for other people that I just met, like I would be like, yeah, I'm born here. Like,
would it ever make you feel like bad or like tenías como un dolor? Decías, fuck, I just lied. Like, would that happen to you?
I would feel bad because I'm like, damn, why am I lying? You know, like I should just say it. But at the same time, I was just like, no, I'm gonna just say because then I feel like then I don't fit in.
Yeah.
You know, I just felt like I didn't fit in because it's like if I tell them that I was born in Mexico, I feel like they're gonna judge me or they're gonna like
make fun of
me. Yeah, and it's especially once we get to high school, it's like that's when like more bullying starts and like
I feel like it becomes more crazy, harsher the bullying because obviamente ya uno ya está más grande y empieza a decir cosas que en verdad sí te pueden doler demasiado, you know? Did you ever kind of get caught up in like the, oh shit, no quedas de aquí? Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, because people started saying, you know how like in Mexico?
Oh my God, yo escondía eso a todo lo que daba, amiga. Really? I remember I used to never like wearing muscle shirts because of my little like shop.
I remember one time I was at school, right? And then this guy was like, I was wearing como like a tank top. And he's like, wait, what's that on your arm? He's like, isn't that what Mexicans, like, that people, like, were born in Mexico have? And I'm like, oh, no, like, I got stabbed.
Me? You're like, oh, no, I wasn't an accident.
No, I was like, oh, it's because I got stabbed. And then he's like, that looks like the one, that little mark that, like, all, like, people that were born in Mexico have. And then I was like, oh, no, I just got stabbed. Like,
y te la creyó, ¿no?
Ya me la creyó. I'm like,
he believes it? Ah, pendejo el muchacho. You know what's so crazy? You know what's actually funny? My birth, like, look, this is how mine looks. Mine is very, like, little.
Oh, yeah, casi ni se ve.
Like, a muchas personas se le miran grandes, so I feel like that was also one of the things that I was like, you know what, mine isn't that big, pero me acuerdo there was times where they would bring it up, be like, oh, isn't that what Mexican people have? Or like, were you born in Mexico? Yo me acuerdo que me paniqueaba. I was literally having a convo with my boyfriend and my friend the other day, hace como 2 días literal, about how I never got my like money to go to college because I filled out all my applications wrong because, you know, cuando no tienes papeles, no aplicas para FAFSA. Aplicas para como otro tipo de ayuda y yo no me acuerdo no me acuerdo cómo se llama exactamente, but me acuerdo when it came down to applying for college, I would be applying as if I had papers. Pero porque me daba pena because at the time when I would be applying, my best friend and my boyfriend estaban detrás de mí in the computer lab or they would be next to me like eyeing what the hell I would do. So me paniqueaba mucho. I would be like, oh my God, se van a dar cuenta que no soy de aquí, se van a dar cuenta. So I would fill in my application to FAFSA como si tuviera papeles, amiga. And then when it came down to getting the money, like I had to go to the FAFSA office because like my documents weren't adding up. Like yo ponía un seguro social, amigas, cuando ni lo tenía.
Really?
No, well, I did have a seguro because I already had DACA by then.
You already?
But you know how you had to put on in FAFSA you had to put like where you were born.
Oh, you would.
I would put here, bitch. Y me acuerdo que cuando decían que I had to go fix it, yo me hacía el pendejo because I was like, oh my God, no. If I go fix it, my friends are gonna come with me. Se van a dar cuenta.
Se van a dar cuenta, yeah.
When were you like comfortable enough to start like embracing que eras de Mexico?
I think it was like maybe like after high school, to be honest. Like I think like like close friends knew that I wasn't born here, but it's like I kind of kept it like super low key. Like I would never like really like talk about it like, oh, I'm from here or I was born here. So it's like I would just kind of keep it low key until like I got DACA. I think even right now on social media, I think I've never really ever mentioned that I'm on DACA. So it's like this is the first time.
It's the first time.
Yeah, so I mentioned that I'm on DACA.
Even after I got DACA, I feel like I was always even still scared to say it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like DACA, even though it's a program que obviamente nos ha cambiado la vida, siento como que es un programa that isn't like here forever.
Yeah,
you know
so you never
like,
know.
So you never know. So yo me acuerdo que even in my early years of having DACA, hasta vergüenza me daba because, not vergüenza, I don't want to say I was ashamed. Well, I kind of was growing up, but I feel like when I had DACA, I was even more like, okay, I'm still scared. Like I'm not, no la he librado. Like todavía no tengo papeles, I have a work permit, but that doesn't literally like
it's not secure.
It's not secure. You know, obviamente nos platicas que a los 18 años you become a DACA recipient. ¿Cómo fue eso para ti? ¿Cómo fue el proceso? How did you find out about DACA? Y cómo dijiste, ¿sabes qué? I'm gonna apply for that.
Yeah, actually my mom, she had her friends, I guess they have kids that were going through that whole process too. And she had mentioned it to me. She's like, oh, like están empezando a hacer una nueva ley para like kids that came here when they were young, and like she's I'm gonna look into it porque también she didn't trust it either. Yeah. She didn't know if it was legit, you know. So it's like, no sé si voy a ver, like, I'm going to do my investigation. She was on those Facebook groups. You know how, like, they have those Facebook groups?
It's because antes it would be like, ¿qué tal que they're just trying to get our information para deportarnos? Me acuerdo, yeah.
So it's like, no sé si es, like, de verdad o nomás están haciendo eso nomás para agarrar a la gente. Or, you know, like, it was like, she didn't really trust it either until, like, her friend was like, no, like, we actually, like, she got it. And, like, she showed her, like, that she got her, like, work permit and everything. And then that's how my mom, we found a lawyer. They were doing like the ones where like they help you out with the lawyers. Yeah, so that's how it started. We found like a lawyer that was helping out, so we didn't have to pay for the lawyer fees. And then when I got it, oh my God, I felt like a relief because I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to be a little bit like more like my friends were like, I'm going to be able to work. Because obviously I couldn't work. I was 18 and I saw my friends get out of high school and they were starting their like, you know, like
their life.
Work. Yeah, they're starting their life. And like, I'm just there like, okay, so what am I supposed to do now that I'm out of high school? It's like, I can't work. So it's like when I first got my work permit and everything, I was like, oh my God, like I was so happy.
What was your first job con DACA?
I worked at Mall of America.
Okay.
So I worked at Hollister.
Oh, shit. How was the process for that? Were you nervous to apply? Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso.
Well, because I've always been shy, dude. Like, I'm really shy. When you first, like, meet me and everything, I'm, like, very, very quiet. I'm like, you know, so I'm so really shy. But I was like, okay, I want to make my money. Like, I'm out of high school. Like, I want to be independent, you know? So I got there, I applied. I had friends that worked there. So I was like, they hooked me up with the job. They're like, oh, like, just come and work here. And I was like, okay. So yeah, so I applied. I think I got hired on the spot.
Oh shit, tuviste suerte. Yeah. Necesitamos empleados, vente,
we need you. Yeah, so I think I went shopping that day. And then I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? And then they're like, yeah, we can just do the interview right now. I'm like, oh, say less.
You and your fachas, you're all in your PJs, bitch.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, we can just do the interview. And then, I mean, since it was my first job ever, I wasn't expecting like the interview. And like, I'm like, okay, well, this is my first job out of high school. So it's like, I got like hired on the spot. Like, okay, you can start tomorrow if you want. I'm like, damn, already?
You're like, bitch, I have plans tomorrow. I'm like, mañana tengo fiesta.
I know. But yeah, I started that job really quick. I was there for what, like 2 years?
Oh, okay.
I was there for 2 years. And then I ended up working at a bank.
How was that? Did you like the bank better?
Yeah, I loved it. Every time someone's like, oh my God, I want to, like my sisters, I'm like, dude, work at a bank. Like, I love working at a bank. I used to love it.
That's always been like one of those jobs that I would be down to do porque yo soy bien chismoso.
Oh,
a mí me gusta saber cuánto dinero la gente tiene en su pinche cuenta bancaria. What's the most money you've seen like in someone's bank account when you worked at the bank?
Damn, like maybe like Because I worked at a like bank where it was like bougie, like the like
okay.
a very like where all the like rich people were, you know. The person didn't even look like they had like money like that. I remember like I'm like, hey, like they came up to me, right, and then they're like, oh, I need to like make a deposit, whatever. And then I was like, okay, and then they like put in their information, whatever, and then I'm like, oh.
You're like, what? Esa es tu cuenta?
Like, I'm like, is this you?
You know what's crazy? That happens a lot though, huh? The people that you wouldn't think would have a bag have a bag.
Yeah, dude. It happened a lot like that. Like maybe I think the person had like what, like 5 mil. Yeah, dude. I was like, hi.
What's your reaction? Like, honestly, like, as a chismosa myself, like, if I were to see that much money, I would be like, ¿qué chingados hace esta persona?
Yeah, dude. And it's like, I was like, damn, like, you want to share?
Like, you want to send some to me? Like, me quieres depositar mi dinero? It's crazy to see, you know, obviamente, empezás a trabajar, empezás a ver ese dinero. Did that kind of working at the bank motivate you to be like, you know what, ahora que tengo la oportunidad de hacer dinero, I want to make a lot of money?
Yeah, it was like that. I always loved working. Like, I've always, like, loved just making my money and stuff. So it's like, even when, like, before I got my DACA, since I know I couldn't work, I used to do freelance.
Okay, makeup.
Yeah, so I used to be a, like, I got out of high school and I was like, okay, what should I do? And that's when I started getting to makeup, and I used to watch your videos, your makeup videos. Yeah, dude.
I did your look on someone, and they hated it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I used to do makeup when I got out of high school, and I would post on Facebook like, oh, if you guys need like a makeup artist, like hit me up. Like I only charge like what, like $20. Yeah, dude.
Pues gratis, mejor amiga. $20 with lashes y todo.
Yeah, with everything. And I would go to them.
And you would make money?
Yeah.
Like how much? Like no, of course you'd make the $20, pero te salía like when you would make your cuentas?
Well, yeah, porque like at first como like I didn't have any bills, you know? Like my parents were still paying, like the only thing they were paying was like my phone bill. I remember like I started doing freelance, and like my ex-boyfriend, like from high school, he kind of started driving, so he kind of like would take me to like,
te daba right there.
Yeah, me daba rides to like wherever I needed to go, you know. And he would tell me, he's like, dude, you need to charge more, because it's like people be charging like 100 and plus.
Yeah.
And
how long ago was that?
This was what, like, damn, like I'm 26 now, so like,
oh, pues casi la misma mía.
Yeah.
We're talking, we're the same age.
Yeah.
That's crazy. $20 back in high school, bitch. I didn't do freelance. I did makeup maybe twice in high school, because then you would have those girls that would be like, oh my God, I love your makeup. Can you do mine?
Yeah.
Me acuerdo que le hice a una girl for $20, bitch. Y nunca me lo pagó. And that's what I'm saying. $20 pues casi gratis. La pinche vieja me lo podía haber pagado. I gave her lily lashes que costaban más de lo que le estaba cobrando, bitch. So to me, I was like, girl, like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, like, no, yeah, I was charging 20 lashes included. Like, I would go to like Ulta and like buy like makeup here and then, like starting building my little kit, you know? And then I would even ask them like, hey, what's your foundation color? And I would try to like get it so it could match their like skin. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I want to make sure, because I don't want them later exposing me like, damn, this girl doesn't know how to do makeup, you know? So I did it for like what, like a year while I was waiting for me to get my DACA. And yeah, I would get like what, like 2 to 3 girls like on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever it was. I would just like try to promote myself on like Facebook back then, because that's basically where it was back then, like Facebook. And I would just be like, hey, like, if you guys need a makeup artist, I only charge $20. Like, hit me up, you know?
And you would have all the girls in your DMs, girl. They're like, $20 was casi regalado. Yeah. That's crazy. Like, now thinking about it, I mean, obviously $20 back then, we're talking about what, like 2018 maybe? ¿En qué año te graduaste?
I graduated in 2016.
Oh, me too. Oh my God, ya tengo los pinches años bien norteados, amiga. I'm over here still thinking like I was living in my apartment like 3 years ago, bitch. It's been like 7.
Yeah.
Like, does that happen to you now?
Like right now, like that you asked me, you're like, how long was? I'm like, 2 years ago.
And it's like, no, bitch, it's been almost 10. We're all getting old. Does that bug you? Like now that we're getting like closer to 30, like yo a veces tengo como conversaciones con mi novio, con mi friend. I'm like, dude, can you believe we're no longer like young kids?
And I feel like I don't feel 26.
I feel like 21 still,
me
bitch.
too.
Like, yo quiero andar en el pinche desmadre, but then when I'm in the fucking desmadre, I'm like, güey, ya estás viejito, ¿qué haces aquí?
I know, so I was telling my mom the other day, I'm like, ma, ¿puedes creer que ya voy a cumplir 30? And she's like, sí, she's like, damn. I'm like, I still feel like I'm 21 or something.
I have this thing where I'm like, I'm old, but we really aren't.
Yeah, we're
y nos
young.
vamos a acabar nuestra juventud saying we're old when we're fucking young, and when we really get old, we're gonna be like, wait, hubiera aprovechado cuando pensaba que estaba viejito, you know. So, nos cuentas un poquito de que empezaste a trabajar, agarras tu DACA, you know, you start working at the mall, then at the bank. En un momento empiezas a hacer social media.
Oh, yeah.
¿Cómo fue eso para ti? ¿Cómo empezó todo eso? Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso.
Yeah, well, honestly, like, I think I've always loved recording because me acuerdo cuando estaba yo in, like, middle school, you know how they would do, like, the track and field dates? I would, like, mi tía me prestaba su cámara, and I would love to take pictures. I used to love taking pictures. I would always bring a camera to school and just take pictures, you know, like, on the last day of school, you would take pictures with your friends, and, like, I used to always take pictures, or, like, me acuerdo una vez cuando estaba chiquita, I don't have that video no more, but I remember it was, like, my 5th grade graduation, and I recorded the whole day,
like you vlogged
like
that shit.
Vlogged. Yeah, you know, like I was in middle school. No, like I was about to start middle school. So I was like my 5th grade graduation. I had my little yellow dress. I'm like, guys, this is gonna be my dress. I'm gonna wear this to my graduation. And like I recorded everything. So
and you didn't
like,
post it?
No, I didn't post it. My dad would save all those videos, pero the computer that he had broke. So ya no, todo se borró.
Todo se borró, todo a la madre. That's
so I wish, yeah.
When did you start like actual creating the content like online? Obviamente you've been creating it for so long, but when were you like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking post it?
Well, honestly, like I would post on Instagram back then, like when I would do makeup, like when I was doing freelance, I would post like pictures of the girls I was doing their makeup, and I would post them on Instagram, or I would post like makeup looks that I would do, like me encerraba yo en mi cuarto, and I would do my makeup like for hours. I would, even though if I didn't go out or nothing, I would just literally sit in my room and just like record myself, like
glamming,
glamming or taking pictures. I would be up at 3 a.m. till like 5 a.m. doing my makeup, and my mom was like, "¿Qué estás haciendo?" Like,
¿a dónde vas?
I know.
Like, a ningún lado a dormir.
So it started like that. I would just like post pictures, but it was never like, I never took it like seriously like that until like, well, I was working at Wells Fargo. And during the time, obviously, I was in a relationship, and we both had like a YouTube channel. We started, they're like, oh, like, let's do a YouTube channel. Let's start this. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, let's do it. So we started YouTube. I think I didn't end up like seeing, like making it like my job until COVID. Basically when TikTok started too.
Yeah.
So that's where I basically blew up on TikTok, was like COVID. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, what's going on? You know, it was like...
Was that crazy for you? Obviamente, you've been wanting this for so long, and then you fucking hop on TikTok and you're like, bitch, I'm getting views.
I had like a small following even before like TikTok. I had a small following on Instagram. I would have like boutiques send me like clothes and like to promote it. And I'm like, oh my God, like they're sending me this, you know? It was like exciting because I'm like, damn, like... it's happening to me now, you know, because I've always liked doing this. I would have like lashes sent to me. They're like, oh my God, like, you know, it was just like an exciting thing. So I'm like, damn, like.
You're like, bitch, I'm an influencer. Like, te pegó en ese entonces.
Yeah. So then after that, once I was working at Wells Fargo, one of my videos blew up. And, you know, like I was still working there. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to wait. Like, I'm going to wait it out because I just don't know. Like, it could just be one video, you know? And like, I'm not seeing, I wasn't making money like that, like from social media.
You were just getting views.
It was just more like the views. So I was like, okay, well, I need to still work here and like make sure that I have money, and like, I don't want to just be quitting. I was still working at the bank, and like, I was posting TikToks, like, you know, that's when my videos started like really blowing up. I was not expecting it because I was just doing it more for like fun.
Yeah.
You know, I never made it, thought in my, like, oh, I'm going to make this my career.
Or you never thought you'd blow up.
I never knew, because I would post, like, YouTube videos, and they weren't, like, doing the best. Like, they weren't getting views or nothing. Like, on Instagram, like, I had at the time, like, maybe, like, what, like, 10K.
Yeah.
So it's, like, once on TikTok, I saw the views. Like, I think my first video got, like, what, like... 5 million views.
Your first video on TikTok?
Like the one that first blew up.
Okay, the first one that blew up. Okay.
It got like 5. I'm like,
you're like, I'm moving to LA, bitch, today. ¿Cómo fue para ti, like, quitting? How did you quit, or when did you feel like was the right time for you to quit? Because obviously nos cuentas that que in the beginning you weren't making money, so you didn't want to take that leap of faith. But when you started, or whatever made you want to quit, ¿qué fue eso para ti? ¿Cómo fue ese proceso?
Once I blew up, like, I was like, okay, I'm still gonna work here. At that time, I was living with my ex-boyfriend, and I was like, okay, I think we should like try to save up money so we can like move out. I feel like if I'm not making like any income from like social media, like, I think like we just need to stay here until we know for sure that we can afford to like just completely quit. So I think I stayed at the bank for another year. I think 2021 is when I ended up just quitting, and that's because my manager started finding out that I was doing social media. And I had people come up to me at the bank. They're like, wait, aren't you that girl from TikTok? Like, I know you from TikTok. And I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, fuck, aquí no. Me estoy trabajando.
I know.
Me van a correr. How was that for you? ¿Qué te dijo el manager?
Honestly, it was because my ex-boyfriend made a video of me, like him picking me up. It was like a skit.
Oh.
And at that time, it was during COVID. So it's like, you know how like you used to
The
wear
máscara
la
y todo
máscara,
eso.
so tenía el logo del banco. And that video blew up. Like, it had, what, like 10 million views?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So the next day, I go into work, and then my manager's like, hey, Carla, can I talk to you? Like, can you come to the office? I'm like, oh my God, what did I do, you know? And then he's like, I know you do social media. Like, I don't know, like, if that's your job. But you can't be posting, like, the
bank, the
with
logo.
the logo and stuff. He said you can't be posting that. I'm like, oh, I didn't do it on purpose. It was just kind of like a video, and the mask was just happened. I still had the mask on, so it just happened to be there. He's like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to delete that video. And he made like a whole big deal about it.
And you're like, babe, we just got 10 million views on it. What do you mean we're going up?
Like,
Did you delete it?
No. Well, because it wasn't on my account. It was on my ex-boyfriend's account.
Oh, shit.
So I had told him, I remember I went on break that day. I'm like, chisme time, man. So I called him and I was like, hey, like, my manager, like, I'm like, he got upset that, like, we posted that video. He's like, yeah, well, I'm just not going to delete it because it's like, you're out of work already.
Yeah.
You're not working anymore. So, I mean, he didn't end up deleting the video. It just kind of stayed on there.
Did the manager get mad cuando vio que no lo
Honestly, no, I
borraron?
think se lo olvidó. But
He just wanted to llamarte la atención.
Yeah,
huh?
I think it was just that porque ya después ya ni me dijo nada. I was just like, okay, like.
How was it like when you quit? ¿Cómo pasó eso? What made you be like, you know what? This is the right time. I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah, I think it was when 2021, I think I quit in the summer. I think it was like around July. Yeah, it was around July. I started seeing like in 2020, I started seeing income like coming in, and I got my first paycheck from like social media. I'm like, ooh, like, you know, like I got excited because I'm like, I had never seen like that amount. So I'm like, wow, like out of this. And also I think I quit because since like I worked at the bank, you couldn't be on your phone. So it's like I was like I work from like 9 a.m. all the way to like 8 o'clock. So it's like I never got time to like post
or to film your videos, to do the shit that you were wanting to do for you. Yeah.
So when I started being super consistent, like posting every day, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post 4 times a day. I'm gonna I was on it, you know. I would literally get home from work. I would literally me maquillaba because I used to not wear makeup to work. So I would literally glam myself up and make videos. So I would like literally come home, cook, y me arreglaba.
So it was getting too stressful for you.
It was getting too stressful. And it's like, obviously with my ex-boyfriend, like we would make content and I would start to get irritated because I'm like, I feel like I can't like
do both.
Yeah. And so it was starting to get stressful to the point where I was like, okay, like I'm starting to see income like coming in. So it's like, I think like I'm just going to end up quitting. So I remember I went up to my manager and I'm like, hey, like, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. And you know what? Like, and during that time is basically when I was getting promoted to be a branch manager. Yeah, so they wanted to promote me to be a branch. We were like on the works, you know, but I wasn't expecting that I was gonna be doing social media.
Yeah, like it came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere, and so he was like, hey, but it's like we talked about like you getting promoted, like you going like branch manager. Like I know you're very passionate about like working at the bank, and you know you love your job. I was like, yeah, but like I want to try something new. I feel like this is just not for me. Like,
was that scary for you to do? Obviously, especially because a promotion like that, you know, is hard to come by.
Yeah, it was hard. Like honestly, like I don't know, if anything, like I would love to work at the bank again. Like if anything, you know, it's just like I love working there. Yeah. It was like such a fun job. But it's like, yeah, it was hard because I was excited to get promoted for like branch manager and like for this to out of nowhere just like completely do like a 360 or like my whole changing my career. But I just knew that this is not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
And it's actually like one of those things that like, you know, only comes once in your life. Si tú quieres, if it doesn't work out, you can always go back to the bank, you know what I mean? But like blowing up on social media, becoming and doing something out of it, no es algo que viene knocking at your door every single day, you know? So it's like one of those things where you have to fucking take that leap of faith to see how far you'll make it. Y pues obviamente you've been making it far, you know what I mean? So quiero hablar un poquito más durante ese tiempo when you were trying to do your socials, when you're doing your social media. Was there anyone around you that doubted you, that was like, ay, Karlita, enfócate mejor en el banco, enfócate en el trabajo que tienes porque esto no va a darte frutos?
Honestly, not really. Pero for myself, I felt como que like my parents, like, how can I say, like, it just felt como que, like, since I came here to the US, they were kind of expecting me to go to college, ir a la escuela, and I just feel like school wasn't really for me. Like, I don't know, I just feel like once I graduated high school, I'm like, I didn't have no intention to, like,
go back.
Like, I was like, oh, I don't want to do college. And I almost felt, like, bad because I'm like, damn, my parents brought me here for me to go to college. You know, that's just
like
kind
disappointed. You felt like you disappointed them. Yeah.
And then when I first started telling them, like, hey, like, estoy haciendo videos. Pero eso no te va a traer dinero. Like, are you sure? Like, you know, like, it was just more como, like, they were kind of, like, judgy a little bit in the beginning because they didn't understand, like, what that was.
I feel like it's very normal and it is very scary to be in that position too, because you're like, fuck, like, I'm over here. My parents, como dices tú, se sacrificaron todo para que yo viniera a este lugar. You know, they got me DACA so I can be able to work, because especially in a Latino household, you guys, especially, I feel like for me too, like, me pasó casi igual donde I felt kind of like, oh shit, am I doing the right thing? Am I disappointing them in the sense of, like, you know, me trajeron para acá para tener una mejor vida and I'm over here doing fucking videos of me pintándome? Like, it almost feels like, bitch, like, me hubiera quedado en México. ¿Para qué sufrimos? You know what I mean? It does get in your head, like, oh, am I doing the right thing? Is this really gonna, like, elevate me, or is it just gonna be a distraction to where I can really be getting the bag? You know what I mean? ¿Qué fue para ti el momento donde tú dijiste, sabes qué, I can make this a full-time job? Was there like a big paycheck that you're like, ooh, like, bitch, I ain't having to worry about this? Nos cuentas que, you know, you waited till money started coming in, but do you remember like a specific moment, like that, what that moment was?
Yeah, I think it was around my birthday.
Okay.
I was like, it was literally my birthday month, and then I got paid for this, like, brand that I was working with, like, the first brand that reached out to me, and I saw, like, the big amount, and I'm like, wait,
is this for real?
I was no, I couldn't even believe it myself because I've never ever seen this, like, money. And I'm like, wait, like, am I dreaming? Like, is this, like, you know, is this fake? And that was like my birthday month también, so I was like, damn, like, that's crazy, you know, like, this could be my career,
like your life,
my life, you know. And I'm like, the fact that, like, I thought about this when I was in high school and, like, doing makeup, and now it's, like, becoming a reality. It's like, it was, like, very crazy to me, and, like, I'm very grateful. Like,
¿Ya cuánto tienes haciendo this full time? Ya tienes que, like, 2 years maybe?
Yeah, like,
you said you quit in 2021. So 2021, ya casi 3 años.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Has there ever been a moment in those 3 years where you felt like, you know what, like, I'm gonna quit, like, ya no puedo más?
Yes and no, because it's like, I love making content. Like, whatever I'm doing, I'll just, like, make a video of it. And sometimes it's like, I would do something, and it was mostly, like, the hate comments that I feel like in the beginning, it would really get to me. Like, the hate comments, and, like, I would read the comments. I would, like, literally post a video, me ponía yo a leer los comments.
Te entretenías con los comentarios.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, should I say something? But I'm like, no, let me not say anything. But yeah, they would, like, the comments, it was, like, I was like, oh, should I even do this? Because it's like, I just felt like in the beginning I couldn't handle it.
Especially when you're starting off on social media, you have to build thick skin. Like, I never believe in, like, I always have had thick skin. Like, no, bitch, get on social media and start getting trolled by everyone on there. Like, baby, that skin's gonna crack because no, somos humanos. You know what I mean? Like, everything fucking hurts. Like, we have insecurities. Sometimes le ponemos más atención a otras que a otras, but, like, de que te van a afectar, you know? Nos brincamos un poquito, and I want to go a little bit back. Quiero regresar a tu vida de high school. Me estabas contando anoche que cuando tú estabas en high school sufriste demasiado de depresión. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso, and what caused your depression during your high school years?
Honestly, like, it all just started maybe, like, my junior year. Like, my junior year, out of nowhere, like, I just completely, like, shut down. Like, I was like, it's like, it just comes to you out of nowhere sometimes, like, where you just, like,
no hubo motivo. Like, there was, like, nothing that you felt like, oh, like, this is why I'm getting depressed.
No, it just, like, out of nowhere, como, like, I just started losing motivation. Like, I didn't like going out. Like, nomás quería ya estar encerrada en la casa. There's a time where, like, my parents did have, like, a little bit, like, argument, like, a little bit. It wasn't, like, crazy, but I feel like that it affected it a little bit, where, like, it got to me that they were arguing. Like, I would come home from school and they would be arguing. And so I feel like that just started affecting my depression. I don't want to bring it up.
No, you're good.
But yeah, so I think my junior year, like, I would come home from school and I just did not want to be with nobody. Like, me encerraba en el cuarto. I wouldn't do my makeup. At school, like I would act a certain way in school, como like, oh, nothing was wrong with me. Pero like cuando llegaba a mi casa, it was like, it would hit me like bad. I think I dealt with it for like a good almost 2 years.
Oh shit.
And that's the reason why I didn't have my quince. My parents were planning it. Like we had already planned the quince and we were in the process, I was already starting to pick my chambelanes.
Your vestido.
Yeah, I was picking my vestido. My parents were looking to the salon and everything. And out of nowhere, this just happened. And my mom, she's like, honestly, like right now it's not the right time to like have it.
Do you regret like not having a quince now?
Yeah, and I feel like my parents feel bad porque hasta me dicen, oh, we're going to throw you your 30th birthday.
Pues lo bueno es que ya vienen 4 años, amiga. Yeah. You're like, pues alístense.
Yeah, so it's like, they're like, oh, te podemos throw. Actually, for my 25th birthday, they're like, okay, let's throw you like a quinceañera like type of party. But I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, I didn't have my quince because of that. And then I don't know, it's just like, I don't know where it just came and like, I had to go to therapy. It was really bad. Like, I had my mom call the ambulance on me like a couple times.
Did it ever get dark? Eso es lo que te quería comentar. Obviamente dealing with depression is something super, super hard and obviously super scary. And for a lot of people, it gets super dark. Did you ever have like those dark moments?
I did. There were times where like me encerraba en el baño and, I would harm myself because like, I just felt like I didn't want to be here. I felt like a disappointment. I just felt like I wasn't doing good enough. Like, I just felt like to my parents, they're like, oh, pues tu prima está haciendo esto. Like, why aren't you doing it? But it was also because, like, my status. Like, I feel like I couldn't do a lot of things. So it's like, it would get to me. I just felt like, I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. What's the point of me being here? So, yeah, so I did self-harm. And there's times where my mom would have to take me to the hospital.
Was that the time she called the ambulance?
Yeah.
¿Cómo fue eso? How was that for you both? Having to experience that as her, your mother, you, her daughter, seeing you go through all this. ¿Cómo fue eso para ustedes?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, at the time, like, since I was just like out of it, like, I didn't think about it like that, but it's like my mom helped me a lot. Like, and it's hard because I feel like in the Hispanic community, like, sometimes mental health is not really taken seriously. They're just kind of like, oh, pues
like, get over it.
Ponte
limpiar.
Yeah, ponte limpiar. It's like they don't take it seriously. And so for my parents to be like super supportive and like my mom was always there. She never judged me. Like, she was always like, te voy a ayudar. Like, yo no sé qué tienes. Like, pero yo voy a estar aquí and I'm going to be here to help you out. Like, whatever it is. Like, you got this. Like, don't think you're this, you're that. Like, you're worth more than like for you to be doing this. So it's like, yeah, both my parents were very supportive and like, just like thinking back and like seeing that my mom had to like go through this and like seeing her own daughter like go through like a really, really dark time. It's like, it's like scary.
Do you feel like during that time, your relationship before you started getting help, I'm talking about during the time you were dealing with it, do you feel like your relationship with both your parents kind of got distant?
Oh yeah, I think it was more with like my dad, porque me decía like, what the hell, like what are you doing, like.
No te entendía.
Yeah, no me entendía. So it was just like hard for him to understand. And I feel like my mom was more like supportive. At the time, like my dad they both didn't understand porque out of nowhere, like it just started happening. And like, it's understandable that they didn't know what was going on with their daughter. So yeah, it was kind of hard for like my dad. And for my mom, she was just always there. And since my dad was always working, so él nunca veía así tanto hasta que mi mamá le decía. So obviously like, he wasn't there to see it. So it's like once my mom would tell him como que it's like, ¿por qué está haciendo esas cosas?
Like, quiere llamar la atención.
Yeah,
like little stuff, yeah.
¿Qué tienes? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're doing dumb things. Like, what are you doing, I ended up getting help. I went to therapy. Actually, both my parents went to therapy with me.
How was that?
It was good. Like, I think I missed out on, like, stuff in my school because it was during, like, school. So it's like I missed classes, so I was like behind on school. Like,
oh shit!
Yeah,
Did that affect you though, like school wise? Like,
yeah,
where estabas retrasada to where you couldn't graduate?
Yeah, so it's like there's time where like they're like, oh, you're not gonna graduate on time. So it's like it was like one thing after another.
And you're like, bitch, now I'm stressing over that.
Yeah.
Like I want to graduate.
Yeah, so it was just like one thing after another, and I'm like, wow, like what is this all happening to me? I would always think to myself like, why is it happening to me? Like, do other people go through this, or is it just me? Like, am I the problem? Yeah. So it was just like very hard. And like since I was still pretty young, like I didn't know what was going on either. So it's like once I went to therapy with my parents, like they also like got help too. You know, like it helped them out too. They were more understanding. They knew like, oh, okay, this is my daughter and like she's going through this, so let me be there for her. Like let me not judge her. Let me, just be there for her. And like, I was in therapy for 2 years.
Was it scary, opening up not just to the therapist, but like having your parents hear everything that was really going on? Was that scary for you?
Yeah, it was scary. It was scary because I felt como que I to myself, like I would think like, damn, are you gonna charge me, or they're gonna think como like I'm just like saying nonsense. It was hard. Like sometimes I was like, oh, like mejor, like I don't want them to be in here, like, and I would talk to the therapist by myself because I just didn't want them to hear anything because I was just like embarrassed. It was more like an embarrassing thing that I just didn't.
Or you're already hearing them like not understand you, so they're like, fuck, ¿pa qué me explico? ¿Pa qué les explico si todavía no van a entender? You know what I mean? Do you feel like therapy helped you?
Therapy definitely did help me a lot. I was there for two years, and sometimes they would come to my house and do therapy there. And yeah, it helped me a lot. Like honestly, thanks to my parents, like the fact that they were just there for me during that really dark time is like I'm really grateful. Did
that help your guys' relationship in the sense of like maybe brought you guys closer después de que se habían distanciado un poco?
Yeah. It definitely did brought us closer. I mean, I've always been pretty close to my family. Seeing that my parents were finally understanding me and they knew that it was like something that I was dealing with, and it wasn't just me like trying to get attention or me trying to like just like stress them out even more. Once I started going to therapy, like it helped a lot. Like I was going with my parents. I feel like it, like I said, it brought my family closer because I would have my family like, oh, like how do you feel today? Like how are you doing? And like just started thinking about like, damn, like I can like what am I doing? Like is this really how like it's gonna be like? Like I know I'm able to do a lot of things. Like I'm still really young, and like I know I will get through this. And like my parents, like I need to make it was always like I need to make my parents proud. Like I want my parents to be proud of me. I want them to be like, damn, estoy orgullosa de mi hija que está haciendo esto, la trajimos para acá. And it was just more like I wanted to make my parents proud. So I was like, okay, like get your shit together.
What did you start doing that like helped you get your shit together?
I think it was cuando like once high school, like since I was still in high school, and they started telling me like, oh, you're not gonna graduate on time. So I'm like, okay, bitch, like you need to
ponte las pilas,
because I was like scared because I'm like, damn, like I don't want my parents to think como que like, damn, hicimos todo esto para ella y está haciendo esto.
And she can't do the bare minimum. Como nos dicen like, yo trabajo, yo hago esto y tú nomás tienes que ir a la escuela. We hear that a lot growing up, now having that in your head, you're like, fuck. Like I really am not doing much. Que lo único que puedo hacer es ir a la escuela,
Yeah. So it was just that, like, it was just more like, okay, ponte las pilas y ya, like, get your shit together, and like, I know you're gonna overcome this. Like, that's when I honestly the therapy, like, if you guys are like, therapy is. I recommend it.
Yeah.
I recommend it. A lot of people look into like, oh, like I don't need therapy, but
or es pa locos, and it's like no. Like I feel like we all have traumas que a veces no sabemos cómo. You know what it is too? Like I haven't done therapy, but I've always have like wanted to. You know what's funny actually? Me había propuesto que este año, I literally said in December, I was like, January 1st, I'm gonna make a call and I'm gonna go to therapy. No ha pasado, you guys. Pero si quiero, because like there's like a lot of things, especially as you get older.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like childhood or just unresolved traumas que a veces te quitan el sueño, que a veces you're just thinking about it constantly because you're not really vocalizing or you're not really expressing how you really feel. And I feel like therapy is like one of those places where it really does make you heal and makes you get all those things you have bottled up out,
Yeah.
Que es algo que tú le puedes dar como de advice a una persona que a lo mejor se siente or is going through something that you were going through during your high school years that feel like, like maybe therapy won't work.
Yeah, honestly, it does help. Like I do recommend therapy. It's helpful. Like even if you feel like you don't need it, like just like taking a session, like it helps a lot. Like being able to like someone that doesn't know you, like you go and tell them like, hey, I'm feeling this way, they're, and like it does really help. So it's like I definitely recommend it. And like don't think like, oh, people are gonna judge me because I go to therapy and they're gonna think I'm crazy or I'm this on this and this and that. Like it helps.
And I feel like also if you're struggling with like the people are gonna do this, people are gonna judge me, people are gonna judge you fucking regardless. You know what I mean? I feel like vivimos en una época, whether you do social media or not, la gente siempre va a hablar. Like I'm sure you guys in your daily life, even though you guys don't have a following, there's people in your lives that talk shit, that judge you guys. And at the end of the day, they're gonna continue being there. You know what I mean? But I feel like therapy is like one of those things that you gotta do for you.
For you, yeah.
You gotta do to get better for yourself, because at the end of the day, people are gonna talk shit, but you're gonna be the one that's gonna be healed. You know, y eso es lo que es muy importante. Quiero platicar de un tema un poquito más sensible. You know, tú tuviste a very, very public relationship que nos estabas contando about earlier that didn't end well publicly. Para la gente que a lo mejor no sabe, danos un poquito más de contexto about the relationship y qué es lo que pasó ahí.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, I was in a 5-year relationship. I started doing, it was like more like a channel, like a couples channel. That's how I started off social media. I started doing skits with my ex-boyfriend. We did social media together. Like we started off social media. We blew up together. So we would just do, it was more like the toxico skits that we used to do a lot. So that's how basically we both like blew up on social media. We did like YouTube pranks. Like we did everything together on social media. And it was a very, very public relationship. We accomplished a lot together. We ended up getting our apartment last year, actually. Like we barely had moved in together. I lived with him basically like 3 years with his parents. We were like living together, and this had been like the first time I had ever moved in with another guy, so this was very new.
Like it was brand new to you.
Yeah, it was like very new. But it's like a veces like tú no conoces a las personas until like you move in with them, just them, because obviously if there's family there, like it's different. But yeah, like it started to become very toxic, and unfortunately ended up just.
Do you feel like the relationship started becoming toxic like as soon as you guys moved in by yourself, or had it always kind of been a little toxic, just not to that magnitude?
Honestly, like it had been already toxic prior to like moving out together, like ourselves. It all just started like in the beginning, it was like all like love and like everything was good, like it was a good relationship. It was like towards like the last 2 years where like basically everything just went downhill. And I feel like social media somehow affected it a little bit.
In what way?
In what way is because like I would see como like obviously we made like toxic skits, like we made very like toxico vibes, like oh she's a toxica, he's a toxico. So it's like, but people didn't know that some of that stuff was actually like real. Yeah. Like I would like maybe like 80% was like all like just like skits, but like there was that 1% percentage that it's like, damn, if only you guys knew that like I'm actually going through this, And yeah, it became very toxic towards the end, and like it was just like more like people, that's why it's like you can't really sit on social media and be like, oh my god, this couple is like, compare like your relationship with other like social media couples, because it's like you don't know what goes on behind doors.
You had been with this person for 5 years. Was there a moment for you donde dijiste, sabes que esto no es normal, the relationship is getting toxic, something maybe you did, he did, or that una situación donde dijiste, esto no es normal?
Yeah, so basically it was a good relationship. Maybe like I'm gonna speak, to be honest, like I was a little bit toxica when I started the relationship. I would be como like, oh, like who's texting you? Like, why are you talking to this? Like it was more like I was a little bit more like on the toxica side. And he wasn't like that. He was very chill. Everything was good. And then, like he was like, hey, like you need to change up, because it's like, you can't be acting like this. Like I'm not doing nothing to you. And like, like it was more like me. I was a problem in the beginning. But towards the end, it's like I knew this was not good when like basically it started to get abusive.
En qué manera? Do you feel like it got verbal, physical?
Towards the end, like like it just started to get really bad when we were arguing every day, and I'm like, wait, this is not normal. Like why are we arguing over like little things, And but it's like I would just like not tell nobody. I was like, oh, like whatever, we're a couple, like we live together. Obviamente cuando vives con alguien, you're gonna see them more often.
Yeah.
And then like we worked together, we were doing social media together, we had both quit our jobs, we were living together, we were literally doing everything together. So it's like obviously you're gonna bump heads with like the person. So it's like me and him would just like bump heads a lot. Like él me decía algo, yo no me dejaba, yo le decía algo. So it's like it just started to like become very como like toxic. Like it was just like, oh, like why are you doing this and why are you doing that? And then it started to get abusive, like maybe in the last 2 years, where he became very abusive.
Was there like anything like that initiated it? Like kind of more like, y te lo digo como en la manera de que like, maybe like a situation that like riled it up to where it became abusive, like that first time?
Honestly, like, it just like, I think it was maybe, it was just like more like, I was not expecting that, like I was with this person at that time, like we're already like 3 years, and I had never seen him like act like that. So it's like, and it had to do with alcohol, like alcohol like brings out the worst
In people,
yeah. So it's like when that happened, like it was just very scary, because it's like, did this just happen? Like, it was just, I didn't know what to do. Like, I'm like, wow, like he got to that point where like, like it was just more like a confusing thing to me, because I'm like, why did he do that to me? Like he would always like tell me that he would never do anything.
After those abusive, red flags or the things that would happen, ¿por qué sigues ahí? Like, did you ever feel like, oh, maybe he's changing, or like I provoked it, or like was there a reason why you kept going back? Te lo pregunto porque pasa mucho. Honestamente, we see a lot of girls go back, especially to this kind of abuse. Mm-hmm. Y es algo muy normal. So quiero ver, like, where your headspace, or qué es lo que tú estabas pensando cuando pasaban cosas así, and then the next day or that moment lo perdonabas.
Yeah, so basically the first time it happened, and it's like, that's why it's like you can't judge people and be like, oh, well, if they're doing this, like, you should just leave,
Yeah.
Because I had never, like, gone through that bad, and then for it to happen the first time, I was like, wow, like, I talked to him. I was like, damn, like, you really did that. Like, why would you do that, And it's like, he was just like, I don't remember, like, it became like it was like an alcohol where, like, he just doesn't remember what happened. And I'm just like, and I was like, damn, like maybe it was just one time, maybe like ya no lo va a volver a hacer. And maybe I would blame myself. At one point I did blame myself, and I was like, maybe it's my fault. Maybe if I would have like not did this, like he would have never done that. Or maybe if I said the wrong thing, and maybe if I would have said the right thing, he would,
like, you would try to
justify
culparte a ti to justify him. Yeah.
And like, I would justify his actions, and and it should never be like that. Like, you should never ever like have to deal with that. And like, every time I was like, okay, I would talk to him like, esta que sea la última vez ya, like, I'm forgiving you. Like, nobody knew knew about this except me and him. Like, his family didn't know, my family didn't know. Like, it was just kept between me and him. And I feel like como que eso me empezó a, like, eat, like, porque it's like, I wish I could vent to someone, be like, hey, I went through this, but it's like, I just didn't want to, like, throw him under the bus.
Was that hard for you at the moment?
Yeah.
Obviamente querías hablar con alguien, but, like, you didn't want to feel judged. You didn't want to, like, expose this part of your relationship to anyone. Was that hard for you?
Yeah, and then because of the love I had for him, for like the love that I had for him, I'm like, I forgave him, like, I talked to him about it. I was like, hey, like, this is not okay. Like, it should have never gotten to this point. Like, you doing this to me. Like, I didn't see my family for like, actually this all happened in a trip. Basically, the first time it happened was we went to a Chicago trip, and it was actually his birthday, and we I took him out to like a restaurant, and then after that he's like, oh, like, I wanted to like go all out, I'm like, oh, let me take you to like a club. So I was like, we're on vacation, like, let's go to the club. he got a little too many drinks, and he drank a lot. Like, and in my head, I'm like, we still need to drive because that day we had drove into the club, and it was like 30 minutes away. So I was like, what? Like, at one point, like, one of us has to be sober because how are we gonna get home? Si los dos estamos like pedos and stuff. So so basically, you know, we drank. I stopped drinking. I saw him drink. I'm like, whatever, it's his birthday, you know, like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, like, ya no te tomes.
Yeah, like you're letting him disfrutar el momento.
Yeah. And me, I'm scared to drive, you know, like, I've always been very scared to drive. So I was like, okay, whatever, the worst, we can just like take an Uber, like, and just leave the car and then pick it up tomorrow. So we leave, and you know, I'm already kind of like sobering down. I was like drinking water, and he started like acting aggressive, and this was the first time I had seen him
en el antro.
Yeah. So it's like, I was like, hey, let's go, like, it's already late, you know, like, we gotta go. And then he's like, hold on, like, you know, it was like starting to get aggressive, and I'm like, wait, like, why are you acting like this? Like, and so then we leave, and I'm like, okay. And then he's like, he gets in the driver's seat, and then I'm like, are you okay to drive? Like, are you sure you're okay? And he's like, yeah, like, I'm good, like, I'm good. So it's like, maybe it clicked to him that he was like drunk. So like, he yelled at me. He's like, you need to get the fuck out the car, and like, you need to drive. Like, I was just like, I can't drive, you know, like, I can't drive because I'm drunk myself.
Yeah.
So then I just see him getting out the car, and I see him get out the car, y yo tenía mis zapatillas porque me las había quitado, y me aventó las zapatillas like in the middle, like the street, you know, me las aventó. And I was like, you know, I was like so like confused because I'm like, why are you acting? Yeah. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, get out the car. You have to drive. I'm like, oh my God. So I get out the car and I just start driving. And it was like a 30-minute drive. So like, that 30-minute drive felt like forever. Yeah. He's like passed out in the passenger seat, and I'm over here driving, estoy así toda, like, making sure like I'm concentrated, because it's like I'm in a whole different state, and it's like, it's, you know, like, it was like 3 a.m. So I'm like, I have to make sure that I'm driving right. So I'm driving, and then out of nowhere, where we went, like in Chicago, like the streets are kind of weird. So it's like I almost missed the red light. So enfrené bien fuerte. So it's like he went kind of like
Se
levantó, you know, it woke him up and it shook him up. Y en eso de repente estoy así, and he gets mad y que me da un, como like, me pega con su, he was wearing a watch. And siento que, y como, I don't know if it was because I was like como tipsy, que no sentí tanto el golpe, you know, no lo sentí. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that for? Like, stop.
¿Te dio un manazo en la cara?
Sí, me dio un manazo en la cara. So I was like, and he's like, why would you do that? Like, why are you breaking heart? Like, do you not know how to fucking drive? And then I was like, I'm like, dude, like, give me, like, be, like, just calm down. Let me just get to, like, where we need to be. And then he's like, oh my God, like, he just started cussing me out, like, saying bad words to me, like, you're fucking dumb, you're this, and that, you know. He started getting very verbal, and like, and so I'm driving there trying to be concentrated in my head. I'm like, why is he acting like this? You know, I started to get scared.
Yeah.
Because I'm alone with him. He's drunk, and I'm there like trying to drive. And una de esas, 1 week into a car accident too. We get pulled over, you know. So I was just scared. I'm like, oh my God.
And it was also the first time that it had gotten violent.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It was the first time, and I was just so like, what's going on? And me dio así un manazo like a good like 3 times. Hasta que yo sentí que, like, I just felt something gushing down, like, my face. And I was like, y en eso, I had, like, got into the hotel that we stayed in. And I parked the car. And I was just like, dude, stop. Like, what are you doing? He's like, you don't know how to drive. You're dumb, this, and that. I managed to park the car. And then en eso, bajo, like, el espejito que está en the... Pa mirarte. I couldn't even recognize my face.
Like, it was full of blood.
Yeah, like, I couldn't, like, recognize my face. Like, I was just in shock, you know. I was like, you know, like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was like, do I call the cops? Do, like, I call someone? So I just see, like, so much blood, like, gushing down my face. Like, my lip.
Él todavía borracho, ni
he passed out. Like, he was in the seat, like, just, like, passed out, como si nada. And I'm just there like, what should I do? Because it's like, obviously, if you go into the hotel, I va a estar alguien from the front desk, you know, and they're going to see me, todo así. So it's like, I'm like, what do I do? And eso vi que tenía yo una face mask, because it was kind of during COVID was still around. I had like a face mask and me la puse. Like, I remember I took off my jacket, medio me limpié la cara. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave him here. I'm going to go upstairs, clean up my face, and then come back downstairs and get him, you know? Porque if I try to get him otra vez, me vaya a hacer algo, you
and
know?
then if you're going in with the whole bloody face, van a pensar que, pues van a saber que él te pegó.
Yeah, so I go upstairs, and that's when I think it hit me. I was like, he really just put his hands on me, you know? Like, the person that I least expected to hurt me just hurt me right now, you know? And it was like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I saw myself in the mirror. Like, my face was like, you could not recognize me. Like, aquí hasta pensé en un momento que me había rompido la nariz. Porque acá había se veía, at one point I thought que se me veía mi bone de mi nariz.
Because it was that, yeah.
You know, I'm like, I look at my son, I just started crying. And, you know, like, I just didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God, like, why did he do this?
Y en este momento you were upstairs by yourself.
I was like, y en eso me llamó. He FaceTimed me. He's like, why the fuck would you leave me outside? What the fuck is wrong with you? And this, and I just see him going, like, getting off the car and coming towards, like, the hotel. So, yo nomás I just went to go get him from the elevator because he managed to go upstairs by himself. And he just, like, looks at me, and then he's like, I look at him like, look what you just did to me. And yo pienso que estaba ya, like, he was blacked out, que ni cuenta, nomás se me quedó mirando, and he just, like, knocked out. So until the next day, I was like, I woke up, I could not sleep, you know? Like,
perdiste el sueño,
like,
sure,
I didn't sleep at all. So it's like, I was like crying. I'm like, do I call my mom? Should I tell her? But it's like, you know, I was just like, no, pero después, I don't want to get him in trouble. Like, it's quick for people to be like, okay, well, just call the cops. Like, you know, like, just call the cops, press charges. But it's like, when you try to, like,
it's also scary not knowing like how it'll go out or how it'll play out.
So it's like, it was just scary. I woke up, and I remember ese día mi mamá me estaba llamando, and I didn't answer. She was FaceTiming me. I didn't answer. I was like, oh my God, I can't answer porque si no me va a ver. Y,
me va a preguntar.
Me va a preguntar. And, like, I'm just like, dude, what, like, I didn't know what to do. You know, I'm like, if I call my friends, they're going to go tell my parents. You know, so I was like, okay, I'm just not going to say, I'm going to wait until he wakes up. Se paró hasta como a las 5 de la tarde. And I was like...
Y como si nada.
Como si nada. He gets up and he's like, oh, like, get ready so we can go out to eat. And I'm like... I was just like, in my head, I'm like, does he not remember what just happened?
Or does he not realize que ando toda madreada?
Y en eso no me había visto porque se bajó, se levantó de la cama y he just went straight to the bathroom. Y so no me había visto. Yo, como estaba oscuro, I was like, okay, like, he probably didn't see me. So I'm like, I was even scared to bring it up. But I'm like, he's going to see me regardless. So I get up. I'm like, well, we can't go out. Like, I'm like, how do you expect me to go out like this? And literally he gets out the bathroom. He's like, what do you mean? He looks at me. He's like, what happened to you? He's like, what happened to you? I'm like, you don't remember what just happened last night? And he's like, no, like, what happened? Like, what happened to you? Like, did somebody fight you? And I'm like, dude, you literally did this to me. Like, you're the one. I'm like, you put your hands on me. And I started crying, and he's like, no way, like, I don't remember anything. So it's like, no se acuerda de nada. He's like, the last thing I remember is just, like, leaving the club, and then, like,
that's it.
Walking, y ya de ahí ya no me acuerdo. I'm like, there's no way you don't remember what you just did, dude. And he's like, no, like, I didn't do it. Like, he's like, stop lying to me. I'm like, dude, it was you. Like, who else?
Why
like,
would I lie?
You know, why would I lie? And eso, he was like, oh my God, like, I am so sorry. You know, he did apologize the first time. He's like, I am so sorry. Like, I would never do this to you. Like, I would never do anything to hurt you. And... you know, I was just, like, hurt. Like, I was hurt. I was like, like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like,
Eso es lo que te quería preguntar. Obviamente pasa esto, te pide disculpas, lo perdonas en el momento. Were you like scared after? Like you're like, fuck, like ya llegamos a este momento where like me pegó. Was that ever a fear for you, like moving forward? Like, oh shit, like no quiero que pase otra vez, o qué tal que pase otra vez? Were you ever scared of that after that one time?
I was scared. Yeah, it was scared. It was more. It became like I was scared when he would drink. You know, whenever he started drinking is when I would like, okay, like let me not say the wrong thing porque no sé qué me vaya a pasar.
Yeah.
You know, it was just I was starting to feel more like scared, and I was like, I should not be scared of my partner, you know, like I should not be scared cuando esté tomando, cuando lo vaya a hacer enojar, or like let me not piss him off porque si no me vaya a hacer algo.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and it's like now that I think about it, it's like, you know, it's like you could kind of see like once you see red flags, I think it's like where you need to learn to like walk away, because si lo hace una vez,
Lo puede hacer otra vez.
yeah. And I kind of knew, I don't know, I just like whenever you have that gut feeling, it's like believe your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like it was an incident too where like he got into a fight with my dad, and he took
Esa
it.
misma vez or
No, this happened maybe like 2 years into dating. 2 years into dating. I was living with him at his parents' house. We went to a party, and he got into a fight with my dad, and he ended up like sending him to the ER. Yeah, so it was just more like
you wish you could have grabbed that as a red flag?
yeah, because it's like at that time, like, you know, like maybe now that I look back, like why did I like didn't take that into consideration, that he got into a fight with my own dad and like took him to the hospital. So it's like what else, you know, like, and now it's happening to me. And, you know, and it's like for him to stay here and be like, oh, well, your family treated me like shit, you know, like basically when like he got into a fight with my dad, I had a friend that she had came over. It was like a family party, and we were all drinking and stuff, and like I had already came to her with like a couple of problems. I was like venting to her. I was like, hey, I just don't like that he's doing this. I just feel like at first he doesn't respect the relationship, or maybe I'm just like it's just me being like a toxica de que I just feel like he's doing certain things that he should not be doing. And then she's like, no, like it's okay for you to feel that way. Like if you feel you're not being respected, then your feelings are validated. And so I remember that night, like we were all drinking, and like we go back upstairs to like my dad was like, oh, hay que seguir tomando, you know, like let's keep the party going. You know, I didn't drink a lot, and he was drinking more than I was, and my friend was drinking as well. And then they started like arguing because they had knew each other before me and him had even dated, you know, like they were friends prior to us dating, and they started like arguing and stuff. And then she brought it up. She's like, well, like you don't even treat Carla right, like, you know. So it's like she said that as like my mom is walking in, and like she says that as when like my mom is walking in. She's like, well, who's not treating Carla right? And since my friend was already, you know, like tipsy, she's like, oh, well, he doesn't treat her right. Like he disrespects her. Like he doesn't know how to treat a woman. So it's like as soon as she says she doesn't know how to treat a woman, my dad walks in. No, my dad walks in. And my dad's already drunk, you know? So it's like him hearing that someone's not treating their daughter right with respect, he's gonna like get mad. And so he goes up to like he goes up to him. He's like, who's not like treating Carla right? Like what's going on? And then my friend's like, yeah, like he doesn't respect her as a woman. So my dad was already drunk. So he gets up in his face and he's like, what, you don't know how to treat a woman? And so like I think it was just more like it triggered him that my dad got all up on his face, that he just ended up like he's like, didn't your mom teach you how to treat a woman? That's basically what he told him. So I think it triggered him, and he ended up punching my dad. After that, I just saw like my dad on the floor, and he was like walking away, and like as like my mom like basically let it known that like, you know, that my dad got hit. So it's like my tios, my cousins, they all like ran up to him, and they ended up jumping him. Mm-hmm. You know, like they ended up jumping him because, you know, like it's like they knew that he had like hit my dad.
And very severely.
Yeah, severely, you know. And so it's like I didn't know it was that severe until my mom, the next day, she texted me pictures that they were at the hospital. And she's like, really, like you're gonna pick like him over your
family,
you know. And that's when I was like, that's where my relationship with my parents got distant, because I didn't see my parents for like 3 months. I think 3 months. I didn't
And
see
no communication either.
I think my dad was upset, because it was like, I mean, I understand now, because it's like when all that stuff happened, I left with him.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I ended up leaving with him. I didn't stay with my parents, so it's like more like I was taking his side.
Yeah.
And
Lo vieron así ellos.
yeah, they saw it that way. So it's like I didn't talk to my parents. My dad didn't want to talk to me. My mom was upset, you know, and like I didn't talk to them, and like, you know, I felt bad too, you know, because at one point I'm in the middle, because I'm like, that's my partner and then my dad, so I'm like, I'm in the middle, and I just, you know, I was just like, what do I do? And yeah, so I didn't talk to them. Honestly, my parents didn't even reach out to me until like my mom had to call me that my grandma was getting sick. So that's how I ended up starting to like have that communication with my dad again.
Was that hard for you? Quiero saber un poquito más de cómo fue el vivir esos 3 meses. You know, obviously you're living with were you living with him at that time?
Yeah.
So you're living with your partner, and, you know, obviously miras cómo dejó a tu papá. Was that hard for you? Like, did you guys have constant conversations about that time, or was it just more of like, oh, it happened, we're moving on from it? Or like, would you kind of bring it up constantly during those 3 months?
Yeah, I would bring it up, and we would actually argue about it, because I'm like, I don't think it should have gotten to the point where you hit my dad. You know, like it should have never gotten to that point. But he was just more on the like defensive side, where he's like, "Whoa, he set this up on my mom," and like I just don't like the fact that he said that my mom didn't raise us right. I'm like, yeah, but it's like now I don't have that communication with my family, because it's like I'm taking your side. Like I'm literally like technically like on your side. Like me leaving with you, me now not talking to my family is like all because of this situation that could have been handled differently.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, like I just know that I'm just never gonna talk to your family ever again. Like they disrespected me. So it's like he kind of turned it on basically on my parents, saying that they were the ones that were being disrespectful towards him. I just kind of was like, okay, well, eventually, like at one point they're gonna have to like talk, because it's like with this person, like I thought I was gonna marry this person, you know, I thought I was gonna stay with them forever. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna get married with this person's gonna be my future husband, I'm gonna have kids with this person. So it's like at one point this needs to be talked out, because it's like if this person's gonna be in my life for the rest, you know. So it's like at one point I was like, I'm just gonna let it be for a little bit, and just like eventually they're gonna have to end up talking.
Do they eventually end up talking?
Yeah, actually they ended up talking maybe like I would say maybe like a month after the incident that happened in the trip with me.
Yeah.
Finally, I was like, damn, like this happened now, and now they want to be cool, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, little do they know that like
it's happening to me now.
It's happening to me. And yeah, so like my dad didn't talk to he didn't talk to me. He was very distant with me. He made it knowing that he's like, I don't want him here in my house. Like if you want to be with him, it's your life. Like I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you need to leave him, because at the end of the day, this is your life, and if you want to deal with this person knowing that like we don't get along with him, then it's on you. Like I can't say here, you're a grown person, and like you know what you're doing.
Nos cuentas de que in the beginning, you know, aceptas tú que eras tóxica, in the sense of like, le decías, ¿quién te está texteando? Or like maybe you would press him about stuff que no estaban pasando. Do you feel like a lot of that came from like trauma from like your past relationships, or you know, that maybe like you were so traumatized from past relationships that you brought in those toxic traits yourself into this one?
Honestly, yeah, I think it did bring a lot of like, because my relationship before that, I was in I've always been in really long relationships. So it's like I was in that relationship for 5 years, basically my whole throughout high school.
Yeah.
And so it's like that was also like a toxic relationship, but it wasn't like the way that it is with with this one. It was more like, oh, like the cheating and like not trusting, and like, you know, it was just more like that. And he basically like once I ended that relationship, maybe not even 2 months after that, it's when I started dating
This person.
And I started dating this person. So I feel like I never gave myself time to heal from all that trauma of the whole oh, you're cheating, or trust issues, that I brought that into that new relationship. And in the beginning, yeah, I didn't trust him, I would see him that he would talk to other girls, and I'm like, well, you should only talk to me, it should only just be me, all about me, and then he would be like, well, it can't be like that, I need to I don't tell you what to do, you can't just be getting mad at me, as long as I'm not doing stuff, but it's during the relationship, it was I would get messages from fake profiles, oh, your man is cheating on you, he's doing this, so that made me be more
self-conscious.
Yeah, self-conscious, because I'm damn, people are making fake profiles and they're saying that you're doing this and you're doing that. So it's with us, it was always big fights. It was always we would get in really, really big
heated
nasty
conversations. Yeah.
It was always really bad, especially because we lived together. So it's we would just, it was always oh, well, I'm just gonna break up with you. I'm just gonna break up with you because you are acting like this. And it was always just his way. It always had to be his way. If I did something wrong, I had to apologize. But it's for him, he could literally do anything, and I needed to be okay with it because that's just how he is.
Habíamos platicado y también pues yo miré mucho que mucha gente te platicaba y te comentaba después de que pasó esto and after it became public, that knowing all this, ¿por qué tú decidiste todavía moverte con él? Platícanos un poquito más de eso and where your headspace was when it came down to the moving in together.
Yeah, so basically when I lived with him and his family, we would get into heated arguments, and his family would hear, and it was still it wasn't as it was starting to get more I feel after that first time, I think he got comfortable thinking okay, I got away with it one time. And when we would get into heated arguments, he would start pushing me around, throw things at me. And at one point I'm damn, is this he's just gonna continue to do it, I'm maybe I'm the problem, maybe I'm the one causing this these arguments. But in the back of my head, I knew it wasn't, but I was just justifying his actions. And then at one point I was we need to move out, because I'm I feel we need our own space. We lived with his family and stuff, and but it's I feel we as a couple, we need to have our own space. But it's in the back of my head, I'm do I really want to move in with this person?
Or also in the back of your head, you were maybe that'll help out the situation. Yeah.
And then I think that's basically what it is, because I'm okay, maybe we move out, maybe he'll finally realize damn, I'm messing up, so let me not do this.
Or it's just me and her.
Yeah, me and her. Maybe we'll be closer. Maybe our relationship will get better. Maybe this is what we need for us to move out.
Were you guys still together by the time que el video se hizo público, the one he posted?
Yeah, we were still living together, but he had already kind of moved out back to his parents' house. So yeah, so basically we moved out together, and I'm maybe he'll change. We moved out. Ni pasó una semana y volvió. So it's that's when I knew I'm he's showing his true colors.
So empezó a pasar, obviamente, pasó el video. Platícanos un poquito más de eso. ¿Qué estabas haciendo tú en ese momento cuando se publicó el video? Cuéntanos un poquito y danos un poquito más de contexto about that.
Yeah, so basically me and him had stopped posting each other. And I think people started noticing that we weren't posting each other anymore. Obviously, we were doing content together. We would post each other every day, doing this, going out, pictures. We stopped posting pictures together. I stopped making content with him. He was still making here and then content with me, but I was just I don't want to
be in them.
Yeah, that's when I think that's when I realized towards the end, it hit me that I was just I can't
you were clocked out already.
Yeah, I feel I mentally left that relationship before it was even over, because I was I feel I'm going through so much with this relationship, and it's just so draining. That's I just don't deserve this. I think it finally had clicked to me that I was I don't deserve this. A person that loves me should never get to the point where they're hurting me. So basically, me and him had already been bumping heads. Me and him were already kind of in a situation where he me and him were just there was just no going back. There was no fixing the relationship anymore. And I made it very clear with him. I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, our relationship is public, but it's like we don't have to make the breakup public either. Like, you know, we can you go your separate way, I go my separate way, and we don't have to explain it to nobody. Because I would upload videos and people would ask for him. They're like, oh, what happened to him? What happened to you guys? Why haven't you guys made videos together? You know, and I'm like, we can easily just ignore it. And then it's like, just go away. You know, eventually it will go away. Like, I don't think we need to be explaining why we're breaking up. And, you know, and it was just like the last 2 months, like November and December, it was just like constantly him coming to the house. And then he'll like, we'll try to fix it, but then like it just was not working out.
So you guys were like, quote unquote, broken up, but like still like in that like,
yeah, because we were still living together. You know, like we were still living together, but once it hit me once, like, you know, like as like the going back to like DACA, like the fact that like he would stay here and tell me, like, we would get into arguments and I'm like, why don't you tell people what you did to me? Like, you stay here and try to like make me feel like I'm the crazy one and I'm this and I'm the problem, but I'm like, you never tell people that what you did to me.
Él te decía eso a ti?
Yo le decía, I'm like, we would get into these heated arguments, and I was just like, he's like, it's because you're crazy. Nobody wants to be with you. I don't want to be with you. And I'm like, don't you think, like, everything that I've taken, like, all the stuff that you've done to me, like, I'm still here. You know, I'm still here trying to fix this relationship. And, you know, and it sucks that this person, like, would use this against me, but it's like, the fact that he would stay here and tell me, oh, tú nomás me quieres meter en problemas porque quieres agarrar papeles. You know, like, you just want to get me in trouble just to get your papers. And I was like, and that's a very, like, touchy subject to me because it's like he knew, like, everything that
you had gone through,
through, you know? So it's like for him to stay here and tell me, oh, you're just using me for papers, because I'm like, if that was really the case, don't you think I could have, like, just pressed charges the first time it happened?
Or married you already.
Yeah, you know, I would have been pressuring you to, like, oh, let's get married. Or, like, I would have gotten you, like, I would have went and pressed charges right away. But it's, like, the fact that I covered for you for the 2 years, I didn't tell nobody anything. My family did not know anything. His family didn't know anything. You know, it was, you know, it just felt like disappointment and like betrayed that he would stay here and talk about that. Like, oh, me quieres usar nomás para los papeles.
Yeah.
And so that was one of my breaking points where I was just like, I can't do this. Like, you're just always going to use that against me. And it's like, for you to stay here and talk about that, like, it would belittle me a lot, you know, saying that I would not be nothing without him. Like, the whole social media, that if we break up, that I ain't shit without him, you know, like, I was nothing without him, that he made me this, that if it wasn't for him, I would not be doing social media.
Do you feel like that's a reason why you maybe stayed for so long with him? Because of the manipulation he put you through?
I think it was just that he manipulated me, like, really bad, to the point where I even started believing that I was the problem. Like, it mentally, like, messed me up, you know. It was a very mentally, physically draining, like, relationship that I went through. And towards the end, I was just like, I just can't do this anymore, you know, like, I don't deserve this, like, me crying, going to my parents' house every weekend because I don't know what you're gonna do to me, me being scared of you when you're drunk. Like, it should never get to that point. Nobody should ever have to deal with that. So it's like around November, after Thanksgiving, like, I didn't post, like, obviously, like, we would post holiday pictures and stuff. I didn't post him. We didn't post each other at all because at that point, like, people didn't know what was going on behind.
And you were done at that point.
I was just done. Like, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, yeah, well, like, let's just end it. Like, let's break up. And I'm like, okay, like, you move out, you know, like, I'll stay here in the apartment. Like, we both agreed that I was going to stay in the apartment. He's like, I'll just go back to my parents. I'm like, okay, we'll keep it like that. Like, the whole, like, going on public and talking about it on, like, social media, I don't think you should never get to that point. He's like, okay, we both agreed on that. And damn, like, this all happened on New Year's Eve when like everything went down. This was the day before New Year's Eve. I had stayed over at my friend's house and we were all like drinking, you know, like, And then out of nowhere, he texted me, like me and him got into a really heated argument like that night. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to my friend's house. I'm like, you can stay here. I'm gonna just go to my friend's house. I go to my friend's house, and it was already late, and that day it was like a snowstorm. There was like a really big like snowstorm. And so I was just like, I might just probably end up sleeping over, because it's gonna be like a mission to like drive back, and I don't want to get stuck in the snow. So I go to my friend's house, and we're drinking, and I'm just telling her, I was like, I just can't do this anymore. And she's like, yeah, well, like, you're just gonna have to like, just like, like, you just have to, at the end of the day, literally, like, is this what you want to deal with for the rest of your life? Like, imagine you get pregnant, imagine you guys have kids. Is this how you want to live your life? And I was just like, no, I'm just done. And he had texted me, and actually I did text him, because I saw that he had went back to his parents' house. Like, he left the apartment. And I was like, wow, like I was like, damn, like, why did you leave the apartment knowing that, like, I had just gotten like a puppy? So I'm like, you left them at the house by themselves. And he's like, well, why are you worried about me? Like, you should have just stayed home, like, whatever. Like, I just came to my parents' house. And turns out that this is where, like, it gets, like, messy, because he accuses me of cheating when cheating was never involved. And that's something that, like, it got on social media. So it's like,
Ese fue el video que posteó él, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So that's basically the video that he posted that night, because he says that I cheated on him, but it's like, he doesn't say what actually happened. So basically what happened is, back in like August, before we moved out, we had gone to this fair, and he was drinking, and he was drinking. He started getting mad, he started taking his anger at me. And I was scared. At that point, I already knew. I'm like, okay, this man I already know something's gonna end up happening once we go back home. And so I was like, you know what, like, he's like, you're gonna have to find your ride home, because I'm not taking you home with me. He's like, find your ride home, like, you're not coming with me. He's like, I'm so done with you. Like, it was always just disrespect with him. Like, he would always just find anything to disrespect me. So I remember that day I had a childhood friend. It was like a childhood friend, nada que ver, I've known him since we were kids. And I texted him. I was like, hey, like, do you think you can give me a ride to my parents' house? I'm like, I'll give you gas money. Like, I'll send you gas money, like. And then he replied to me, not even, like, maybe like 5 minutes later. And I was in the bus, because like at the fair, that it's like a bus that takes you to the fair, and then it drops you off at like
in the front. Yeah.
So it's like, we took the bus, and I wasn't even talking to him or anything. And so then that's when I texted my friend. I was like, hey, do you think you can give me a ride, And he's like, yeah, like, what's your address? And so I texted him, like, I'm like, yeah, I'll let you know once I get to my apartment, so I can just like send you my location. And he ended up like taking me home with him. Like, my ex, like, we ended up just going home. He's like, just get in the car. But I knew that I was like, I can't go home with him. Yeah. Like, if I go inside the apartment, I just don't know how. Me daba miedo. And I'm like, I don't want to call my parents, because it's like, obviously at that time they didn't know.
Y no quieres meterlos también ellos en eso.
Yeah, so they didn't know anything about it, like, they didn't know anything that was going on. And so I texted my friend. I was like, hey, do you think you can give me a ride? And he's like, yeah, for sure. I get to my apartment, y me bajé del carro, y I didn't even go upstairs to the apartment. I literally got off the car, and he was still in the car. And I just ran upstairs to like my lobby is, like the office, the leasing offices. Yeah. I just ran up to the lobby, me encerré ahí, un baño, me encerré ahí. And he's like, hey, so are you going to send me your address? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just wait it out. Like, I'm going to just wait. Maybe he'll go upstairs and just fall asleep or something. So I just waited out like a good like 30 minutes. Me esperé. I even ordered food. I was like, let me just order food just in case he's still awake. Like, I'll try to like sober him up, I go up, like, I waited out like 30 minutes. My friend texted me. He's like, hey, so do you still want me to give you a ride? I go back upstairs. Y ya ni le respondí. Like, I ended up just not getting the ride. I just left that. I go upstairs. Y estaba durmiendo. So I'm like, okay, he fell asleep. Like, I'll just stay here. So the next day, I just texted him, hey, sorry. Like, I just ended up staying home, like, it's okay, And he kind of already knew like what was going on between me and him.
Your friend.
Yeah. So he kind of knew. And so that's why he was like, okay, like, let me
Like, that's why he was on you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you sure everything's good? Yeah.
So on Halloween of last year, he like we were all drinking stuff. So we get back to the apartment, and like I had a couple of drinks on me, and I was like, oh, I brought it up. I was like, I just don't like the fact that we're at the club and you're over here talking to other girls, and like, you know, like, you're not respecting me as your girlfriend. He would do this a lot where like he would approach girls and ask for their numbers, for their snaps, you know.
Enfrente de ti.
Yeah. Como like se hacía como que estaba soltero.
Yeah.
So, and I would get mad by that. He's like, well, I'm not cheating. Like, that's not cheating. And I was like, yeah, but that's disrespectful, because I feel like if I was doing that to you, a ti no te gustaría eso, you know? Having like a guy tell you like, hey, why is your girlfriend asking for my number?
Yeah.
You know, and I would get DMs from girls telling me, they're like, oh, your man is doing this, your man was in my DMs, your man was doing that. So I was like, that's embarrassing for me, because I'm like, we're in the public eye, you know? Like, we're in the, and I'm like, you don't...
Especially if online, you guys look so happy.
Yeah.
Sale algo así, tú eres la que vas a terminar mirándote mal.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, and I was just like, I don't like, but he would always just throw in my face like, oh, pues si no te gusta eso, no estés conmigo. Like, just break up with me. He would always just be like, well, if you don't like it, you can leave. And so on Halloween, we got into a heated argument because I brought it up. I'm like, oh, you're talking like to girls, and I don't like that. Like, you don't, I'm like, it's fine if you have friends that are girls. Like, that's totally fine. But when you're already doing disrespectful things, like, that's where I cross the line. So he's like, well, you're probably the one talking to guys. You're probably the one like maybe cheating on me, and that's why you're over here accusing me. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm good on like, you have the password to my phone. Like, you know, I've always had given him my password, but he never gave me his password. He was like, well, you don't pay for my phone bill, so why am I going to give you my password? Yeah. But yo era la mensa que le daba.
Like, well, no tengo nada que esconder.
Yeah. So yo era la mensa que le daba la password, and he would be on my phone, and I wouldn't care, you know, until like that day. He's like, well, you're the one probably like cheating, and I was like, I don't have anything to say. Hasta yo le di mi teléfono. I'm like, mira, no estoy haciendo yo nada. Yeah. He goes through my phone and he finds that conversation with my guy friend. So he flipped it and said that I cheated on him.
So ese video ya lo había tomado él en octubre.
Yeah, so that video was from October. So that's how you know, like, everything was just already, like, going downhill. Yeah, that video was from October. The next day, I ended up, like, I guess, like, when he saw the messages, I was just like, oh, that's just my friend.
Yeah.
And I took my phone back, and I'm like, and I just ended up falling asleep because I was drunk. The next day, me levanté y vi que he had screenshotted like all the messages and left them in my phone. So I'm like, okay, like, I'm not hiding.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not hiding anything. So it's like, if I was really hiding something, I would have deleted the messages.
Yeah.
So he wakes up. I'm like cruda, like literally cruda, and he like brings it up. He's like, why are you talking to guys? Why are you telling guys to pick you up? I was like, that's my friend. Like, I didn't even end up getting picked up. He didn't end up picking me up. I came back here to the apartment. I brought food. Like, I ordered food and stuff. So it's like, he didn't pick me up. So it's like, what's the issue? Like, he didn't pick me up. I'm not flirting with him. So he's like, no, pero like, why would you do that? Like, you're here hitting up guys, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you go in my phone, I literally don't talk to, like, there's no conversation that's like, oh, you're doing this. Or if you go back to like my conversations with that person, like, there's nothing for you to be like, oh, you're cheating on me. And he was like, yeah, well, he's like, he basically turned everything on me, saying that I was a cheater, that I've been cheating on him, and that's why I'm always on his ass about like, oh, that he's doing this and he's doing that. So that's when he took that video, because I was in the video, it's like, I'm like, it looks like I'm deleting messages, you know? So in that video, I wasn't deleting messages. I was texting my mom to pick me up because me and him, that I was done.
Like, ya estabas terminado. Eso pasó en octubre, obviamente. He makes the video public in enero, New Year's, you know. ¿Cómo fue eso para ti? Obviamente, you are already going through this breakup in public, and then having to deal with this breakup online. ¿Cómo fue eso para ti?
It was something I was not expecting, because I had made it clear with him that I was like, you go your separate way. I don't want to talk about it on social media. I don't want it to get to the point where like I don't want to go on social media and talk about the breakup.
Like I have to say my truth.
Yeah, you know, because it's like, you know, like what you did to me, and like you know, like I'm willing to just let it go and you go your separate way and then I go my separate way, and that way I don't talk about what happened, like what everything that happened, you know? Like just move on with
Just
your
leave me
life.
alone, do your
Yeah.
life, I'll do mine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we had both agreed on it. So when I saw those videos, I was like, what? Like, you know, it caught me off guard because I was like, I didn't expect it to be like this. I never expected for it to like, you know, I would always see other people going through like public breakups, and I was like, I
Never
would
gonna happen to
never.
me, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I would
What
never.
were you doing when the video was posted? ¿Te acuerdas o no?
Yeah, I was with my friend, and that was when I went out to her house, and he brought up the whole cheating thing. He's like, "Well, you're cheating on me. You're doing this behind my back. You're having guys pick you up." I was like, "It wasn't guys. It was just one person,
yeah.
and that person never ended up picking me up." So he brought it up again. He's like, "You're a cheater. That's probably like why you every time you go out with your friends, you're probably like cheating on me and blah blah blah." So he that's where I was just like, you know what? He's like, you can go be single. Like, I don't want to be dating. Me estaba diciendo de
Hasta
lo
lo que
peor,
no. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so I was like, okay, ya, tronó aquí. Ya, cada quien por su lado. I'm like, cool. Like, we'll just break up. Like, you know, we both kind of broke up. Like, made
Mutually,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
mutually, like, broke up. And then, yeah, so, like, we broke up. And he, out of nowhere, the next day, me dormí. Como a las 7 de la mañana me levanté, and my friend is calling me. And she's like, Carla, like, did you see did you see what he just posted on social media? And I'm like, what did he post? He's like putting, like, exposing you that you're cheating on him. Like, he posted a video of you. So I was sleeping when this all happened, you know? And then I was like, no way, dude. Literally, my heart dropped because I was like, damn, he really went that low. Yo me quedé callada for years, not like for everything that he did to me, y para que él vaya a la internet and try to picture me como si yo fui el problema.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I might just let it be. But then I was like, you know what? Yeah, like fuck that. I'm tired of being silent.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being always like being pictured as I'm like the bad person. So I was like, you know what? Like, I might just say it. Like, and that's when I spoke up and I basically said that he put his hands on me, and I got off social media, you know, like I got
As
off.
soon as you posted it.
As soon as I posted this, I'm like, it gave me a lot of anxiety. Like, it gave me a lot of anxiety because I'm like, damn, I never wanted to get to this point, you know? I was willing to let it go and be grown-ups about it and be like, you know what? Cada quien por su lado. Shit, like, we both, like, it was just not meant to be, you know? Like, let it just be like that. But it's like for him to go on social media and try to say this about me, and you know, I was like, okay, like, you want to do that, then I'm gonna go ahead and tell my side of the story.
Was it hard for you to open up about that touchy subject? Porque obviamente, if you would have opened up about anything cheating or little stuff, obviamente, okay, whatever, but obviamente it's a touchy subject, es algo que te pasó a ti, which you nos comentas que por mucho tiempo you were embarrassed to tell anyone, you were ashamed because you didn't want them judging you. Did it put you in a bad state donde tú decías, fuck, not only is everyone finding out, but my friends, my family, everyone that you hid it from is finding out at the same time that everyone else is?
Yeah, so basically my friend, my best friend, she knew about it. She was the first one that I had told because there was an occasion where she did pick me up where I was going, like, where he was like putting his hands on me. She ended up picking me up at like 4 a.m, and she had just given birth. So it had not even been like 2 weeks that she had given birth, and she still picked me up that night. And obviously, like, when you see a couple on social media, you see them happy. So it's like for her, she was even shocked when I told her. I was like, okay, I need to tell you something. Like, he's been doing it for the past 2 years. She's like, why? Like, why don't you tell nobody? Like, we're here for you. Like, you have people that care for you. And like, why did you keep it to yourself, you know? And then she's like, she wanted to take me to the police station that night. And but I was like, no, like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I just don't want to deal with the police, and like, I just don't want anything to do with it. I told her, I was like, my parents don't know about this, so just don't say anything. But there's occasions where, like, when I was calling my mom and I would be crying because we would get into arguments, And my mom started to notice,
Yeah.
like, something's not right.
Like something's wrong with my daughter.
And I would
yeah.
sleep over. I started sleeping over at my parents' house, like, on the weekend. I would go out with this person, like, we would, like, drink, you know, and then I would be calling my mom, like, at 2 a.m, like, can I go stay at your house? Crying.
Yeah.
And something is up. There's no way que me está llamando esta, like, every weekend crying. So she did end up reaching out to my friends. And she's like, hey, do you guys know what's going on with Carla? Like, what's going on with her and him? Like, que tiene? Like, it hurts me seeing her cry to me and, like, come to me every weekend saying something's up.
Yeah.
So my best friend ended up telling her. She's like, well, unfortunately, like, he's been putting his hands on her for the past 2 years. And, like, you know, ever since they moved into the apartment, it got worse. And my dad was pissed. Like, my dad was...
Like, he knew he was right from the beginning. Yeah.
And I remember my mom called me that night. I was at home, actually. And he had moved out, like, for a couple days. Because we were, like, not together.
This is before it was public.
Yeah, this was before it was public. He had, like, moved out. Because he had already moved out some of his stuff. Like, he was, like, slowly moving out. And my mom calls me. She's like, you need to come to the house right now. Dice, vente pa la casa. Mi papá estaba, like... Se escuchaba por teléfono que estaba enojado. Y me dice, quiero su nombre completo, donde vive. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, I didn't know about this until she's like, ven pa la casa, te quiero ver ahorita. I come to the house and I go to their house, and that's when she's like, me tienes que decir la verdad. She's like, ¿qué te pasó? I'm like, ¿qué te pasó en el ojo? ¿Qué te pasó en tu labio? Porque tienes scars.
Yeah.
She's like, you have a scar and that's not normal. Like, you didn't have that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, es que me pegué. Like, and that's something that a lot of people would bring up a lot. Sometimes when I would go live or I would make TikTok videos, they would, like, see my scar. I have a scar on my lip, and they're like, what's wrong? They're like, oh, and I would just make up a story. Like, my story was like, oh, I was, like, laying down y se me cayó mi teléfono en mi labio. And then because I have braces,
it fucked it up. Yeah.
You know, so that was just always the story. But I feel like a lot of people, there was, like, some people that believed, and some people are like, there's no way that would happen.
Yeah. Obviamente, you know, you open up about this very touchy subject, which I'm sorry you went through that.
Yeah.
Y muchas mujeres, siento, a lot of women that go through this don't tend to open up because mucha gente no les cree.
Yeah.
You know, how was that for you? Obviamente, you open up about this. Although you had a lot of support, you also had a lot of hate coming your way. You also had a lot of people, you know, claiming that you were lying, claiming that they was all false accusations. ¿Cómo fue que lo tomaste tú eso? Obviamente, you come to a point where you're vulnerable enough to share this with everyone, and then you have so many people atacándote, diciéndote que lo que tú estás diciendo no es verdad. ¿Cómo te sentiste tú en ese momento?
I was not mentally... Well, when basically everything went down, I remember, like, I was going through my DMs. This was probably before, like, I even posted anything. I went on my DMs, and I'm like, I saw people that are like, oh, like, they're coming at me already. Oh, you're a cheater. Like, you know, all the hate.
Yeah.
I was starting to get a lot of hate. And I was like, no, I need to speak up. Like, I need to stop being silent. Like, I need to speak up and just say what I went through. And I spoke up. I got off my phone. I didn't even want to get off my phone. I got off my phone for, like, a good, like, 2 hours. And, I mean, it started to go viral, you know, like, people were starting to make videos about it, the breakup. And I finally get on my phone and I read messages, and they're like, you're lying. Like, you're a liar. You're just trying to cover up that you cheated. And now you want to accuse him for, like, hitting you when you know it's not true. So it's like, for me, that was like, it hurt me. You know, it hurt me really bad because it's like, people don't know what I went through. Like, nobody will ever know what you go through.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why sometimes I feel it's hard for, like, anybody to speak up when it comes to domestic abuse, because some people just don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
They think that you're just lying, or it's easier for them like, if you're not in their shoes, like, they're, like, quick to be like, okay, well, why didn't you just call the cops? Oh, why didn't you just press charges on him? Or why didn't you just leave him?
Yeah.
I got that a lot. We're like, oh, well, you're dumb because why didn't you just leave? Like, you know, but it's like that, just like, people will just never understand unless you're in that situation. And it hurts, you know, it's sad because seeing people tell me that I'm a liar and that I'm just like lying and I'm just saying this to try to get him in trouble, or that I'm just doing it to cover up that I supposedly cheated on him. And why is it that I stayed quiet for 2 years? They're like, oh, well, your story's not adding up, so we're not going to believe you. And they're like, okay, well, where's the proof? Like, where's the proof? I did, obviously, like, I did have proof. I had videos. He ended up deleting them. He would tell me, we'll, like, delete them because then someone is gonna find them, or someone,
or you could get hacked.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's what he would always tell me. He's like, oh, you just never know, you could get hacked, and like those videos like might show up, and like, and then he would always just be like, oh, well, people love us on social media, and like if they were to see this, like, like people picture us as this like couple that like loves each other, and like we're like this perfect couple. Funny couple on social media.
Was that also another reason why it was maybe hard for you to open up or even try to make anything public, because you also felt like, fuck, now I'm going to disappoint everyone that watches this. My whole following is going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think it was just more disappointment that I was just like, I don't want to, like, I don't know. I think I just like make too many excuses for him. I'm like, I don't want them to see him as a bad person. But I'm like, why am I covering? Like, why am I having to like look out for his feelings when he didn't even care about like what he put me through, So at that point, when I told my story, I got a lot of hate from it. Like, obviously I had a lot of people that supported me and messaged me and told me their stories, that they went through the same exact thing. And, like, I had support. I had a lot of support from my supporters, and I'm really grateful.
How was your mental health during that time?
It was
Do you
bad.
feel like it was bad?
It was really bad.
¿En qué manera?
I had to get off social media because the hate was really getting bad. I was getting hate that, like, I got messages saying, oh, well, if you ever come here, I'm going to, like, hit you. I'm going to beat you up because why are you lying on him?
Yeah.
Like, you're lying on him. Like, you're just making up stories. Like, you're just lying. Like, that scar, you probably did it yourself. So now you want to blame him. And then I was like, to me, it's just like crazy. It's like, why do I need to lie about something so big, severe, when if I were to lie about it, it could mess me up even more. Seeing it all over social media, people giving out their opinions about like making up scenarios, like, oh, well, maybe he did it because she did something. It's always blaming the victim. The victim. It's always like, well, what did you do to him for him to act that way?
After the first couple of times, did it ever get mutual, like the disrespect or the violence?
No.
Like, did you ever get like, oh, fuck, he's hitting me, let me hit back or anything?
No, I never hit him. Like, I never put my hands on him. There is an occasion where he did say that I was like chasing him with a knife. It was not even like that. That whole like story is more like that same day that he recorded that video that he posted on Halloween. He was getting all up on my face. So myself, like, to like defend myself, I just grabbed a knife and I'm like, pégame, like, hit me, like, if you're gonna hit me, do it right now. But it's like, it was because I was para defenderme. I'm like, and that day I was like crying. He put me in, like, when he recorded me, I was going through it, like the way that he was just talking to me, the way that he was like getting up on my face. I'm like, if you're gonna hit me right now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, so then for him to switch up the story and be like, oh, well, she chased me with a knife, but he doesn't tell them exactly like what he did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like I had to get off. My mental health was bad. Like, I needed to get off social media. I got off social media. I'm like, you know what? I said my story. I'm done talking about this. I already said what I had to say. I know what I went through. So it's like, at the end of the day, everybody else's opinion doesn't matter because yo sé lo que what I went through. He knows what he put me through. So it's like, he can deny all he wants that he didn't do anything. But at the end of the day, we both know. Obviously, like, on social media, I portrayed that I had a good relationship with his mom. So it's like, he's like, oh, well, his mom would never, like, she was always on your side. So it's like, she, like, she would have not let her son do that to you. But it's like, she didn't know anything about it. Like, nobody knew. At the end of the day, nobody knew. Obviously, she knew that me and him argued. But me and her, like, it was all skits, you
Yeah.
know, like that relationship. Yeah, like I had a good relationship with her. Like it wasn't bad, but it was a lot of disrespect with her too. You know, like when I lived there, that's why it's like they say that you should never move in with your in-laws.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't believe it. And my mom would tell me, she's like, nunca, like, don't move in. Like, you know, like they look at you, like when you don't live with them, they're like, oh, like we love you, que no sé qué. But
La
it's like,
rimada.
yeah,
Yeah.
pero cuando te mueves, like it's a whole different thing, you know. It's like I had never lived with nobody, so it's like when I moved in there, she was like very like on the old fashioned, where like, oh, tú tienes que cocinar, tú tienes que lavar, tienes que hacer esto, you know, like, and I did, you know, I learned how to cook, I learned how to clean, I was doing everything for him, you know.
Yeah.
I was like doing the wifey things, and with her it was just always like constant disrespect from her, and it was just more like she
Like
would throw
to your face, constant disrespect. Oh shit.
yeah, she would come to me. There was a one occasion where, again, when it came to like me not having papers, she would tell me, she's like, well, like, si tú, if you ever hurt him, just know that I can call, like, my son is a cop, and I can, like, deport you. Like, I can have him deport you. Damn, like, that caught me off guard, because it's like, why would you even say that? I remember I went up to him, and I was like, you know what, like, I've had so much respect for your mom, you know, and like, she would throw little side comments to me here and then, and be like, oh, you don't know how to cook, so it's like, I'm surprised he hasn't hit you. This was like way before anything had happened, you know. This was when I had recently moved in with him, and she would say all these little like side comments, and I would talk to him about it. I was like, I don't like the fact your mom sits here and says all these things to me, and like me, I've been respectful enough to like not say anything back to her, and like respect, because this is her house. But it's like one day me va a agarrar bien enojada, and I'm not gonna stay quiet, and I'm gonna end up saying something to her.
Did it ever get to that point where like?
Yeah, there's a time where me and her didn't talk for a whole year. And I was living there, so it's like we didn't talk for a whole year.
Was that awkward for you?
It was awkward. This was after she had said that side comment about like that she would deport me. I didn't talk to her for a whole year. Yeah, it was like a whole year. It was awkward, because I was like living there, and so it's like I would run up to her like whenever I would be cooking or something. She would be right there, and like, you know, we were all living together, so it was very like hard. And that's when I was like, okay, we need to move out, because like I don't want to live like this. And like I think after a while, like we ended up talking it out, like, you know, like I was like, I just don't like the disrespect. I'm like, because I don't disrespect you.
Yeah, like you were putting up your boundaries.
Yeah, and so I mean, like after that, yeah, she would still like say side comments and stuff, but I just tried not to let it get to me. I was just like, whatever. She's just like talking, like, she just wants to see a reaction out of me.
Yeah.
So I ended up just not like, I ignored her to the point eventually we ended up moving out. And like, you know, like all those videos, it's like, oh, he would never, like, she would never let him. But it's like, obviously you're always going to back up your kid. When it went down, like, he's like, wow, like, you're really going to say this about me, try to like say that I did this to you, you know. And it's crazy, because that's how like he became very narcissist, you know. Like he came when like everything had already, after everything went down, he came in to like sign off the lease, you know. Like we were both on the lease on the apartment. He came to me, and like that's how, you know, como like he has no like respect towards me.
Él todavía pensaba que había como una oportunidad
Yeah.
of you guys getting back, even after the whole thing had gone down?
Yeah. So after everything went down, obviously he was still in the lease. And, you know, like, and people were coming at me. They're like, oh, pues ahora qué vas a hacer porque no tienes nada. Like, without him, you ain't nothing. Like, he made you. Or él te pagaba todo. And I'm like, that's not true, because we both made our income. It was always 50-50 with him. We would always pay 50-50 for everything. You know, like, he would buy me stuff, I would buy him stuff. But it's like, people would stay here and make these stories about like, oh, well, él paga todo. So it's like, now, ¿quién te va a estar pagando tu renta? Or how are you going to be living by yourself now that you're not with him? And yeah, so he did, when he came to sign off the lease, you know, like, he was like, is this what you really want to do? And I'm like, of course. Like, after everything just went down, like, you went on social media and disrespected me and like said everything about me and saying all these things about me. So it's like, what makes you think that we're gonna get back together?
Or like, what makes you think I want to stay?
Yeah. So it's like, you're never gonna change. Like, this relationship, yeah, like there's no going back. So he ended up signing off the lease. And like for him to like on social media, he acts like I'm the one that like lo busca. That day when he came to like sign off the lease, he apologized. He's like, I'm sorry for everything that I put you through. He's like, I'm sorry, like, like he cried, like we both cried, like I'm like we were just not meant.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to accept that, to accept the fact that you may love this person, but you guys aren't meant for each other? Y te lo pregunto porque, hay muchas mujeres that go back, with their partner after going through similar things that you've gone through and siguen ahí, or it's hard for them to leave the relationship because there's that hope, there's that love. After everything went down, was it hard for you to like let go of the relationship, especially after being in it for so long?
I think at one point, I think I was just like mentally checked out of that relationship, that like once this all went down, I think it was just like a relief that I had left the relationship, because it's like, and I get that asked a lot. They're like, oh, parece como que you're good, like you guys broke up and like all that went down and now you're like como si nada. But it's like, you guys, during that whole relationship, I was the one crying. I was the one going through it. I was literally going through the worst.
Yeah.
And then to the point where like I got tired of it. You, at one point, after giving someone chances after chances and like you don't see a change, you just start like, yeah, como que
ya no tienes nada más que darle a esa persona.
So it's like
you
you start giving up. You're just like, what's the point of this if there's no change with the person? And like you just keep like the chances, after every chance that you're giving them, it's still like they're not doing anything. So it's like, I feel like I mentally checked out that relationship before we even broke up. And like when we broke up, it was easier for me to just like...
to navigate it. Eso es lo que dicen mucho, dicen mucho que para las mujeres, they check out during the relationship. Yeah. También nos platicas un poco de que pues mucha gente siempre te pregunta de que how are you out and about, enjoying your life, como si nada. How are you doing now? Yo quiero preguntarte cómo te sientes ahora, how's your emotional state, cómo te sientes tú ahora.
Ahorita, like, I feel good. Like, I think I'm starting to heal. I'm still healing. I'm not going to 100 say, because obviously I still have my days where like, a veces like me pongo a llorar. But it's like, I don't post that on social media. Like, I don't go on social media and express myself. Like kind of keep it to myself. And like, I'm doing a lot better. A year ago, like looking back, it's like I was going through it, like, and seeing how I am now, that like I am much happier. Like, I am really, really happy. I'm like discovering myself more. I'm starting to see that I have more things in life that I can do. It's all about like self-love right now. Like, I just want to focus on my mental health. Just putting myself first.
Yeah.
Because I feel for so long I put other people before me, and now I'm like, it's my turn to like put myself first and take care of myself.
Y eso es algo muy importante that I'm so glad that you're like finding out or figuring out, because pasa mucho que en relaciones, pones a tu pareja or just you both as a couple first.
Yeah.
Y como que te pierdes, como que you stop knowing what you want for your life. You stop having hobbies, you stop having goals. Y es bueno que estés en un momento donde you're like, you know what? Like, there's more to me, there's more to life than the relationship I was in. There's more to life than everything I've gone through. You know what I mean? Because como dices tú y como dicen muchos, there's light at the end of the tunnel. What are things que tú has estado practicando or things that you've been doing that has been helping with your healing journey?
I would say like doing things that I love, like spending time with my family. I feel like now I'm really, really close to my family again. I'm like really, really close to them. I mean, at one point I did say that me being in that relationship kind of made me be distant from my family. So it's like I wasn't really hanging out with them. But now it's like I'm with them every weekend, hanging out with my friends, traveling, doing things that I love to do.
Yeah.
Like not caring what people have to say, because at the end of the day, it's your life.
Yeah.
You have to do what makes you happy. You have to literally like live the life that you want to live without caring what people have to say.
After going through everything you've gone through, obviamente puede ver muchas personitas ahorita que nos están mirando that are either currently going through something similar or have been going through something like that and that are still healing from it. What's a piece of advice that you can give to those que pues obviamente han estado o están in a toxic relationship where it almost feels like there's no way out or there's no light at the end of the tunnel? ¿Qué les tienes que decir tú?
There is. You like just know that like please like seek help. You know, and that's something I didn't do. I didn't seek for help. I kind of just let it go. You know, like I was scared to what people are gonna say. But it's like find help. Tell friends. Like tell family, because like I think that's one thing I do regret is not speaking up.
And like ignoring the red flags.
And ignoring the red flags que si lo hacen una vez, they're going to do it again.
And I feel like that's something super important, you know, este es mi mensaje a todos los que nos están viendo ahorita, de que, como dices tú, if you ignore the red flags, you're only kind of, you know, and it's crazy because it's so easy to ignore them, you know, because a veces when we go into a relationship, we're not trying to figure out everything that's horrible about our partner, you know, obviamente amas a tu pareja, but tiene que llegar en un punto donde dices, okay, like, is the way they're treating me the way I deserve to be treated? And if the answer is no, which let me just say, it's always going to be no if there's any abuse or any toxicity. If the answer is no, there's no reason to be in there. And I feel like, you know, we can't also shame because pasa mucho donde, you know, se quedan ahí and it gets to a point where like, you know how much is enough and it gets to the point where like, tú vas a saber hasta cuánto vas a poder and tú tuviste tus límites and I'm glad that you got out of that when you did.
There's times where I even tell myself like, damn, like I really left, you know, because at one point I'm like, I didn't know if I was ever gonna leave.
No te la creías.
No me la creía. Cuando todo pasó, yo hasta yo misma ni me creía que I'm like, damn, like I was finally able to let go. You know, I finally was like, enough is enough. Like, I don't deserve to go through this. You should never, ever in a relationship feel unsafe with your partner, ever. You know, and whether it's like sober, drunk or anything, you should never, ever feel unsafe.
Ya para terminar, pues esta plática, yo quiero que nos digas un poquito de how important is self-love for you in this moment of your life?
Yeah, it's very important because, you know, like, that's how you're gonna, like, it's gonna help you throughout life. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else, you know. And it's like you have to like always like put yourself first. Like even if you're in a relationship, always have to like no matter what, like that's your partner, but it's like you need to put yourself first because you matter. And like if you're not happy, you're not going to be making other people happy.
Like you said, it's important to look out for your individuality, you know, to have things going on for yourself, goals. Te quiero agradecer muchísimo porque obviamente el sentarte hoy aquí conmigo and opening up about this again online is something super scary. Es algo que no muchas personas are strong enough to do, but I just want to say thank you. Y yo sé que con esto no nomás estás ayudando a ti to heal, but you're also helping a lot of people that are watching at home that may be going through something similar, you know. Muchas gracias for opening up. I'm sorry everything happened to you. Ya quiero platicar, ya para terminar un poquito la entrevista, yo quiero saber qué le espera a Karlita. ¿En dónde te miras tú en los próximos 5 años? ¿En dónde y qué te miras haciendo?
You know, like, I'm just like, right now, like, it's all about like, keep like grinding, keep on growing. And I do want to like, keep, you know, working hard because I do want to like, retire my parents. Like, that's my main goal. Is being able to retire my parents.
Y yo sé que lo vas a hacer y obviamente nos cuentas mucho que uno de tus sueños es to make your parents proud. And yo no sé qué ellos piensan, pero yo sé que en este momento you're already making them proud, just who you are as a person, who you're growing up to be. Pero va a llegar el momento donde tú... No, en verdad que sí, va a llegar el momento donde tú ese sueño que tienes of retiring them va a llegar y ojalá que sea súper pronto y pues a seguir chingándola, amiga. I just want to say thank you so much once again for sitting down with me, making the time y pues contarme tu historia para que yo y allá en casita te podamos conocer y entender un poquito más. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm like, thank you so much. And like, you know, I hope my story helps out people out there going through the same similar situations. You know, like I really hope and just know that everything gets better.
And it does. Y eso sí, amigas, siempre va a haber un arco iris at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much once again. Y muchas gracias a ustedes también por escucharnos el día de hoy. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go ahead and follow Karlita on all our social medias down below, as well as they will be linked on the screen. Y también no se les olvide to follow me on all my social medias para que no se pierdan any future episodes. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.